If you want to get the respect of Philadelphia fans, just be a maximum effort player in whatever sport you are. That group had a lot of max effort players, and Darren personified that to the T.
He was the glue that kept a bunch of misfits together in '93, and we had a special year. You know, the confidence he had, the way he ran the field, the way he led the pitchers, the way he led us as a team was just tremendous, and very unselfish player.
Deep left center. This ball's got a chance. Out of here. 3-run home run. Darren Dalton.
Take great pride in the organization and the city of Philadelphia and being able to represent us as one. And it's almost like I can no longer call you fans. We've been through too much together, so I'm going to start calling you family.
As Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And for Darren Dalton, he made us all feel like we were part of his family. He would hug the stuffing out of you when he saw you for the first time. If it's been a long time or if it's just been a couple hours, that's how good a person he was. It's been 48 hours since we heard that he had passed. And, John, I know we've heard so many testimonials over the last couple of days, just what a great teammate he was, what a great leader he was, and for you, what a great friend he was.
Yeah, it's been amazing. You know, at first when I got traded over to the Phillies, I wasn't sure if I would ever like someone like him. Too pretty to play the game of baseball, I thought, but man, you know, he was down and gritty, and the toughness that he displayed on a daily basis up to the day he passed away is something that I will take with me to the day I get put in the ground. But he was a great friend, and you know, once we became teammates, then he became our leader. That was all great, but as we've retired and we've gotten closer, just talking to each other about everything, about going through life. And Dave Hollins, you know, I talked to Dave today, and he said, man, I keep seeing these replays on TV, and he said, every time it's Darren hugging you. He said, do people know that he did that after every win? I said, man, I wish I could have one more, just one more.
Well, as he said during his Wall of Fame speech, he said that the Philadelphia Phillies fans were part of his family. Well, there's no doubt that the Phillies family lost a great one just a couple of days ago. We're going to talk more about Darren Dalton and what he meant to the Phillies fans and to the city of Philadelphia. We'll have baseball as well, so stay with us. We'll be back. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. By Toyota. Find your favorite model today. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank, official bank of the Phils. Visit citizensbank.com. By Coca-Cola, taste the feeling. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IVX.com. Back here at SunTrust Park as we get set for game one of this very brief two-game series between the Phils and the Atlanta Braves. Something just happened that I don't think either one of us have ever seen before the start of a baseball game. We have an injured player for the Atlanta Braves, and it happened just right there. It's Johan Camargo coming behind Julio Teheran, and he just stumbles and gets his leg caught and then holds his right knee. And he couldn't even put any pressure on that knee. He had to be helped off the field and down the stairs. John, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I haven't either, never. And I mean, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It looked like he was running out and, you know, was going to take a little hop and sprint out to his position at shortstop, and he just went down. And you see the trainer Terry Pendleton helping him, or that's Ron Washington actually helping him off the field. He couldn't even walk on it.
Wow.
That's a mysterious.
That's incredible.
Yeah, you hope it's nothing serious, but wow.
Well, there's a change that means in the lineup for the Braves, which we'll get to. But the Phillies lineup brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Cesar leads it off, then Freddie Galvis. That has been the common rhythm since the All-Star break for the Phillies. And Daniel Nava making another start playing left field for the Phils. They will face right-hander Julio Teheran, the 26-year-old from Cartagena, Colombia. And he has not had a good year. He is 7-9 with an ERA over 5, and the Phillies hit him around the last time he faced them. So the first pitch of the day to Cesar Hernandez is outside. We're underway, and it's 1-0. Jace Peterson is taken over at shortstop for the Atlanta Braves. A bouncer foul, 1 ball, 1 strike to Cesar.
You hope it's just for Camargo. You hope it's just like a, you know, maybe just dislocate his kneecap or something, and he can pop it back in, and you know, hopefully he can play in a couple days. But look worse than that, didn't it?
It sure did. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There's Peterson. His teammates didn't know what to think. They thought, well, you got to get up.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't get up. Cesar hitting .294 with 6 home runs. And a fly ball down the left field line. Adams lumbers over and can't get it. It's off his glove, and it rolls off the wall. And Cesar will pull into second with his 14th double of the year. He's now hitting 12 straight. And the Phils have the leadoff batter aboard to begin the first inning.
And just a recent switch by the Atlanta Braves. Freddie Freeman was playing third. Matt Adams playing first. Brandon Phillips second. They need to get Phillips over to third base. He's more athletic. Freeman far more comfortable at first. But now here's where the uncomfortability comes in, and that's Matt Adams in left field. St. Louis tried him out there. It didn't quite work out, and hey, Cesar takes advantage of it.
Yeah, we thought that Freddie Freeman moved back over to first because it looked like he injured himself in this Phillies series with the Braves, and Brian Snitker said no, it's partly because he wasn't hitting while playing over at third base the way they would like. Here's Freddie Galvis with a runner at second base at the top of the first. Freddie takes a strike, 0-1. Galvis was 3 for 14 in the series against the Rockies, which the Phillies lost 2 of 3 on the final game.
Tell you what, we're not as high as we are in Pittsburgh or Washington, but we can still get a nosebleed up here, can't we?
It is pretty high. Inside, it's our second visit to SunTrust Park. So 1 ball, 1 strike. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Kelsey Forrest. Delicious soft drink for only $1. I'm loving it. By Freeman, and it gets Cesar over to third. 3-out assisted.
Good AB right there by Freddie, doing his job. Leadoff double. You want to get him over to third, less than 2 outs. Try to get that first run on the scoreboard, take an early lead. Great job pulling that ball to Freddie Freeman.
And now the Braves will play the infield back, so you have time. Daniel Nava will be the hitter. Nava was 4 for 8 in the series against the Rockies.
Infield back like you expected. I think the Braves think that they should be able to score at least 1 run.
One thing about Tehran is that he has given up home runs this year. He throws so many fastballs now compared to the way he used to throw. The thing about Tehran is that he has given up home runs this year. He throws so many fastballs now compared to the way he used to throw. It used to be that he would throw fastball, you know, in the 50s as far as percentage goes. Now, in 2017, he's thrown his fastball 65% of the time. Off the left field line and out of play.
Just what Nava didn't want and Tehran wanted. 0-2 now. This is when it's a battle for Nava. You just try to find a way to not hit a grounder to the pitcher or third. But it's funny how when we were in Colorado, how they shifted Daniel Nava and the Braves playing pretty much straight up.
Yeah, they certainly see him more than the Rockies do.
Maybe that's why the Rockies are fighting for a playoff spot.
0-2 pitch coming to Nava. In the dirt, 1-2. Phillies on this road trip, which started in Anaheim. They lost the 3 there, and then lost 2 of 3 to Denver. On this road trip, they're hitting 182 with runners in scoring position. One ball, 2 strikes. Another one popped foul over the third base dugout. Nava at .311 with 4 homers and 20 runs batted in. Pete said again today that he'll play left field most of the time, but he is going to get Kim in there as well, as that runs outside 2-2. Amazing. Daniel was kind of an afterthought at spring training. He had hoped to make this club as an extra man, and now here we are in the first week of August, and he's been batting third the last few days.
Yeah, he thought maybe Chris Coughlin had the inside track because of his versatility. He can play infield, outfield.
Swing and a miss. He went around on that breaking ball. Well, that's the slider from Tehran. That's the pitch he throws the second most. All right, it's time now for our Nissan keys to the game. What do you think there, John?
Well, Eflin back up in the big leagues. You know, clean the slate, start all over. He didn't do too well when he first came off the disabled list and started pitching for us. So Zach Eflin, clean the slate, and let's make Murph work. Let's have him do another post-game interview like he did on Sunday. You know, it's always whenever we get an interview from Murph, we usually win.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That ball is hit out towards center field. Inciarte is there. And Tehran's going to get out of this inning. No runs, 1 hit. The Phillies leave 1 in scoring position, so they waste the leadoff double. We'll go to the bottom of the first. Phillies nothing, Braves nothing. Tonight's lineup for the Braves brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Well, Ender Inciarte will lead it off at center field. He's had a heck of a season. He's hit in 12 consecutive games. Then Brandon Phillips, who's now a third baseman. Freddie Freeman, Nick Markakis, Suzuki, Matt Adams. Obviously, the shortstop Camargo is out with the injury. And then Albies, the young rookie, will bat eighth. And there's Zach Eflin making his return to the big leagues. May 28th was his last start here in the majors. And the Phillies are hoping that he can catch a little lightning in the bottle as we get toward the finish line of the 2017 season. Ender Inciarte will lead it off. He's 1 for 7 lifetime against Eflin. And he delivers strike one. Eflin's last start was against Miami. And he went 5 innings, 9 hits, 7 earned runs that day. His last 3 major league starts, he had an earned run average over 15. So that was partly the reason why they sent him out.
Partly?
Just to try to figure out his mechanics.
Yeah, I would say that's a good reason.
0-3, a 15.20 ERA, 22 earned runs in 15 innings.
Yeah, we walked in there today and he came over. Hey, how you doing? I'm like, man, I'll talk to you all the day you pitch. That's what I thought in my head. I'm like,
yeah, some of the younger pitchers are a little different than what I think we're generally used to.
I wasn't used to that.
Nick Pivetta will talk to the day he pitches. Aaron Nola will. Another one fouled back.
I tend not to want to speak to him in general, but
pitchers as a whole.
Especially the day they pitch.
Yeah, Jared Eichhoff you can chat with too. Couldn't you talk to Greg Maddux when he? I mean, I know you wouldn't, but he was that kind of guy that you could talk to. I think he'd just sit in the dugout.
I mean, I wouldn't. DJ you couldn't. Danny Jacks you couldn't. Schill you couldn't.
Tommy Green.
Yeah, he talked to anyone and anything. Love Greeny.
3-2 pitches fouled away, and it remains 3 balls 2 strikes. Tommy was part of the press conference yesterday that the Phillies had at Citizens Bank Park, which included David Montgomery and Milt Thompson. He had some real poignant things to say about Dutch. There's a line drive base hit back through the middle, and Ciarte has extended his hitting streak to 13 games.
Tell you what, he's a really good player. Great center fielder. Lead off, work counts, get on base. He can steal a base, and this is where now Zach Eflin and Cameron Rupp have to worry, because you had a guy now hitting Brandon Phillips, who is very adept at hitting that hole between first and second, hitting the ball the other way.
Brandon Phillips has certainly enjoyed hitting against the Phillies here in 2017. Now there you see the hole John was talking about on the right side. And Phillips check swing roller back to the mound. Eflin's throw is wide of second, but Galvis handles it, and so does Tommy Joseph on the back end.
That could be the ugliest double play in the history of baseball.
Ugliest.
Without question. Eflin stumbled, threw it across his body, bounced it. Freddie picks it. Freddie bounces it. Phillips got almost knocked down because the pitch almost hit him. Look at him. They're all laughing. They're like, that. Let's record this. That ugliest double play we've ever seen. Look at that. Now watch Eflin. He stumbles, throws across his body. Freddie has to reach for it. He's thinking, okay, no chance for double play. But because the pitch almost hit Phillips, Phillips couldn't get out of the box, and Tommy has to pick Freddie's throw. Look at this.
It's remarkable.
There are like 8 things wrong on that play, and the Phillies recorded 2 outs.
Here's Freddie Freeman.
You know it could be your night.
Eflin is so tall. I mean, he's 6'6", and then he had to step up the mound to make that throw. 1-0 pitch is hit deep down the right field line. If it's fair, it's gone. It is gone. 21st home run of the year for Freddie Freeman. And the Braves take a 1-0 lead. And how big was that double play? Wow.
Well, I guess he likes hitting, playing first base.
I guess so. Not a whole lot to think about.
Here's a pitch by Eflin, tried to get it in, and it was belt high and nitro zone for Freddie Freeman. That little uppercut swing he has, wow.
Yeah, the Phillies kept him in check in the 4-game sweep, basically, back in Philadelphia.
Me and Murph are going to go over there and eat this afternoon.
You're going to go to the Chop House?
The Hef Burger, is that what it's called? The H&F Burger?
Yep.
Yeah, we were thinking about it. Then Murph deserted me.
Went and got some tacos.
Where did he get tacos?
Murph, where did you get tacos? John wants to know.
Well, after I deserted John, I went down the concourse and I found some street tacos. They were very good. When I say deserting John, I mean sitting there and John disappeared and I didn't see him after that.
0-2 pitch is popped up foul. Rupp is off with the mask, back to the screen, sidewinding, and makes the catch. And the inning is over. But the Braves take a 1-0 lead thanks to the home run by Freddie Freeman. We'll go to the second. We know your weeks fill up fast, but don't worry. You can still catch the fills. Download the NBC Sports app now and never miss the teams you want to watch. Hello, John Kruk. I'm Tom McCarthy. Greg Murphy is here as well. And Freddie Freeman chatting with Mickey Morandini after Freddie's home run gave the Braves a 1-0 lead.
It's like he was talking to him about playing third base.
It could have been. You know, we saw him for the week or for the weekend, the 4 games. He looked good, but then we saw him also starting to stretch his arm out. And I think they were just thinking, you know what, that's where he's going to be. That's where he's a Gold Glover. Let's just move him back there. Odubel Herrera will lead it off. Odubel hitting .277 with 11 home runs, 41 runs batted in. Had a pitch outside, 1-0. Well, obviously, the last couple of days have been difficult for everybody around the Phillies family with the passing of Darren Dalton. There was a beautiful moment of silence before the start of today's ball game, where they showed some video of Dutch, but also of Don Baylor, who passed away. We found out yesterday. So the game of baseball lost two big players.
Two of the toughest players that's ever played this game, too.
1 ball and 1 strike to Herrera. And he pulls that one to right field, right at Markakis. And 1 out for Tommy Joseph. Tommy was 0 for 8 in the series. against the Rockies.
It's a tough place to go over, isn't it?
Sure was.
Colorado.
Well, as we mentioned, Dutch passed away on Sunday, and the Phillies family obviously lost a big piece to their great history. But one thing that Dutch did is at the end of his career, 1997, the Phillies traded him to the Florida Marlins, and he helped the Marlins win a world championship that year. And Jim Leyland, who was the manager of the Florida Marlins at the time, joins us now. Jim, we appreciate you joining us just to give us a little bit of thoughts on Darren Dalton. I know he was such a great leader from a Phillies standpoint, but you know, everything we've read, he certainly became a great leader for your Marlins team in '97 too.
Yeah, well, I think people, you know, they get into the leadership stuff and all that, and the toughness and all that, and certainly all that's true. But we wanted Dutch because he could still hit right-handed pitching pretty good. He's capable of hitting a double. He could hit a ball out of the ballpark, which he did in Game 3 of the World Series. This guy was a good player. You know, I knew he had some problems with his knees and everything, but this guy was still a good player. We needed a left-hand bat. So, you know, the extra stuff, that came with it, obviously. When he walked in the clubhouse, I mean, he was just a presence, you know, but he wasn't a loud, rah-rah guy at our clubhouse. He was just a very professional. When he said something, people listened. I mean, he was absolutely terrific for us. And, you know, like I said, he's one of the toughest players I ever saw. I managed against him for a lot of years. So I saw him play with the bad knees, and I saw him get ready to play. I knew there was a lot of nights he was hurt. Might not be in the lineup. He played all the time. So this guy was one of the toughest guys I ever saw.
One thing too, Jim, that you know, you talked about managing against him. You know, that presence was not only in the clubhouse but also behind the plate. It's hard to pick up 100 RBIs as a catcher, and he did it 2 consecutive years too.
Oh, that's what I mean. There's no question about it. I mean, this guy was a tough out. This guy was, you know, a lot of times they talk about guys being leaders and you know, clubhouse presence and all that kind of stuff, and they forget how good of players they are. You know, I mean, I'm sure Trucker was you know, a clubhouse presence and everything, played a long time at Philly, but he was also a heck of a hitter. You know, I mean, I think sometimes people get wrapped up in too much of the leader stuff and all that kind of stuff, and they forget how good these guys were on the field. This guy was one heck of a player.
Can you remember anything from that '97 season, whether it be the World Series where he hit over 300, where you saw his impact as a hitter?
Well, I saw it, yeah. I saw it live, hitting that home run in Cleveland in Game 3, I can tell you that. And he got some other huge hits for us, some big doubles for us. I mean, he just did a terrific job. And I can remember when he got there. You know, I told him, look, Darren, you don't put any extra pressure on yourself, because, you know, he came with a reputation as a leader, a tough guy, and a real presence in the clubhouse. I said, don't give yourself any extra stuff to do. Just be Darren Dalton. However it plays out, we'll take it. You know, don't put pressure. So sometimes a guy gets traded, he wants to go over and he wants to impress his teammates and he tries too hard. And all. I said, look, just be yourself. I mean, we got you for the Darren Dalton that we've seen the last several years with Philadelphia, and being a winning player in the World Series with Jim Fregosi and the Phillies against Toronto. I mean, that's the guy we want. So don't put any extra pressure on yourself. And he was absolutely terrific. I mean, what a teammate. I didn't have him very long, but it was a real treat.
Well, I can tell you this, Jimmy, he loved playing for you for that short period of time. And he was very proud of that 1997 World Championship ring that he wore right beside our '93 National League Championship ring.
Well, you know what? It turned out great, because I know what a bunch of characters and a tough, hard-nosed team they had over there in Philadelphia. I managed against them. I knew them all, not personally, but I managed against them. I know how good they were, and I know they were disappointed when they didn't win that series. And so it was really kind of a nice touch for his final year to come over there and get that ring, you know, that he missed out on in Philadelphia. And, you know, to be honest with you, I'm sure if he had his choice, he probably would have rather won the ring in Philadelphia, where he's with his buddies for years. But it was still a treat for him and a pleasure for him to win it over there in Florida. And he went out a world champion. And, you know, that's just appropriate. I mean, he was a world champion in a lot of ways, and it was just appropriate that he finally got that ring.
Were you surprised that he was able to play first base and right field for you?
I was a little bit, but you know, we knew he couldn't catch him with the knees and that. That's not what we got him for. We wanted to try to keep him as healthy as possible, get him in there as much as possible. We needed a left-handed bat. We needed an impact bat. Jeff Conine, who did a great job, played a little outfield and first base as well. And of course, you got the DH in the World Series, so it's a little bit different, you know. And we just felt, I can remember, I'll tell this real quick. I can remember our owner, because we had to pick up some salary to get him. And our owner said, he called me, he said, well, will we win the World Series if we get there in Dalton? And I said, well, I can't tell you we'll win it if we don't get him, but I can tell you we won't win it if we don't get him. And he went out and he spent the money, and we brought him over, and thank God he helped us win that World Series, or I'd have been in trouble with the owner.
1 ball, 1 strike to Cameron Rupp with a runner at first base. Jim Leyland is joining us on the phone as Cameron check swings and rolls it up the third base line. Tehran just lets it sail over the head of Freddie Freeman, and it goes into the crowd. Williams was around third base, so he'll have to go back there. The Phillies have runners on second and third with 2 men down. And Zach Eflin is coming up. We're going to take a peek at this real quick.
Yeah, I don't know what Tehran was thinking right here with, Cameron running. I don't know if he needed to rush that much to. Could have set his feet and throw. He kind of falling toward the third base dugout and just airmailed it. And luckily it went into wherever it went in, because Markakis was playing over into right center. I think Nick Williams would have scored on that play.
He would have. He was already around third base. So that brings Zach Eflin to the plate. Jim Leyland is joining us by phone to reflect on the life of Darren Dalton, who Jim managed for part of a season in 1997, and the Marlins went on to win the World Championship. Jim, when you thought about having that left-handed bat, I know you mentioned that winning the World Championship, he was a big part of it. Did you think down the road, all right, if he does come over, I'm going to use him in this way, shape, or form when it comes to the postseason too?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you always try to have a plan as the manager, but you're also at the mercy of how a guy's feeling. And
yeah.
I mean, I knew how tough Dutch was. Everybody knew how tough he was. But, like, I think that Philly team in '93, everybody talks about what a bunch of characters they were, but everybody forgets how they came to beat the other team every day.
Yeah.
They might have been characters, but when they played the game, they came to beat the other team every single day. And that's what Dutch brought for us, and we knew that, And, I had a plan on how I was going to use him, and some of it was at the mercy of how he felt, how his knees were. But, I mean, he was, like I said, he didn't have to say anything. When he walked in, everybody in our clubhouse beamed up.
Well, Jimmy, we appreciate you joining us. I know you're busy, and it's always great talking baseball with you and also talking about Darren Dalton. So thank you very much.
No, you're more than welcome. See you, Trucker.
All right, thanks, Jimmy.
That's Jim Leyland, former Major League manager. He was a good one. We'll be back right after this.
We asked.
Follow Phillies baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat mobile app. Stay connected to the game's best players all season with game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat today. It's your #1 app for live baseball. There have been so many great stories that have been written on Dutch's life and his impact on the teams that you played with, John. And one of the stories was about the trade to the Marlins. We just had Jim Leyland on. And Jim Fregosi, I think, played a role in that trade because, as Jim said, he asked Jim Fregosi, about Darren Dalton, what kind of an impact he would have, and Fergosi's the one that sold it to the Marlins. Hey, this guy can help you win that championship.
Yeah, even though his knees were gone as far as catching goes, he still could hit. We knew. I mean, I knew from playing with him for so many years that he's pretty clutch too. And the moment of playing in the postseason in a World Series was not something that was going to affect him in either any way, shape, or form, as far as nerves go or whatever. But yeah, I was so happy. I remember I talked to him. I was actually on a golf course back home in West Virginia because I had been retired for a while before that. And I called him that night or that next day while I was golfing, and he was just euphoric about it. But the thing is he was so happy about getting a ring, but then it turned to, I wish we could have got one in Philly. That would have been more special than anything. And of course we exchanged our farewells and love yous and all that stuff, and saw him that spring playing golf. It seems like we did a lot of golfing, didn't we?
Yeah, it does. 0-2 to Kurt Suzuki as we begin the bottom of the second. I think it was Jason Stark who said that that Dutch ended his career the way you would want to, batting cleanup and winning a world championship in the final game of the World Series.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss. Suzuki strikes out. First strikeout for Zach Eflin, and one away here in the second.
Well, this is something that's going to, I mean, that's a miss, but that's not a bad miss because it was up and out of the strike zone, but pretty bad miss by Eflin to get away with. Cameron wanted it down and away, and he threw it up and into Suzuki. Hyperextended knee for Camargo.
Yeah, he's going to have an MRI tonight. Ground ball softly off the mound, and that's going to get into center field for Adams. So Adams ends an 0 for 13 with a little base hit up the middle. Speaking of injuries, Greg Murphy is standing by. Give us an update on Andrew Knapp. Murph.
Yeah, you know what, Tom? A little bit of news before the game today regarding Andrew Knapp. We knew he had obviously injured that hand and was going to be placed on the disabled list, but we get word today that he had an MRI just after that announcement about being placed on the DL, and turns out there is a small fracture in his hand. So the timeline for Andrew Knapp now has been extended. He is going to miss a little bit more time. They're thinking probably somewhere around 3 weeks or so to allow that little fracture to heal. So not good news, obviously, for Andrew Knapp. What does it mean for the Phillies? Well, obviously, Jorge Alfaro is here and will be playing a little bit more and probably be here for much longer at this point. In fact, perhaps for the rest of the season, now that we're getting close to September. So Cameron Rupp is still going to get the yeoman's work behind the plate, but we will see Alfaro play as well. Kind of a tough break for Andrew Knapp. I asked Pete about what he thought about Knapp today, in his first year up in the big leagues, and he said, what, he made a very positive impact. A guy that got on base a lot for a catcher, a guy that did a real nice job at the plate, behind the plate, and also offensively. And he said, he put himself in a position for next year to certainly be a part of this team. So for Andrew Knapp, now he probably will get back late in September and have another small chance to play, but he's going to be on the shelf for a while.
Chase Peterson lines one to left field for a base hit. So back-to-back singles. Folks were asking today about the scan, as Murph mentioned. The last two were x-rays, and this time yesterday was an MRI, which gave it more of a definitive look for that break. Here's Ozzie Albies.
It sounded like we had the USC marching band in our booth here.
Awfully loud.
Wow.
They got a new toy, John, so they're showing it off as best they can. There's a breaking ball, and it's 0-1. This young man hitting 118. He is one of the prize prospects in the Braves organization. A former shortstop who is now playing second base because they had Dansby Swanson playing shortstop. Swanson's back in the minors, but may be recalled depending on Camargo's injury.
I wonder if we might see Dansby Swanson tomorrow.
Could. It's a pretty easy trek from Gwinnett.
If they're home. They are home, we were told.
Swing and a miss.
He
And
might
it's
be
one
able
ball,
to get
two
here by the
strikes.
time the game ends.
He could be sitting in the dugout by the 5th inning.
Especially if the prediction by Ron Washington, the third base coach for the Braves, is correct.
He predicted rain.
He said it seems like it's every night.
They've had 14 rain delays here in Atlanta this year. That's a lot. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the bottom of the 2nd. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Off to the third base side and out of play.
I think at some point it's going to be mandatory for players to wear the elbow guards and the shin guards when they hit. I know a lot of guys are going to the face mask even.
Yeah, a lot of the Latin players are going to the face mask. Hot shot to short, picked up by Galvis with his glove. He throws to the bare hand of Cesar Hernandez, who's able to turn the double play. 6-4-3. Pretty fancy. No runs, 2 hits, 1 man left. We go to the 3rd. Phillies trail the Braves 1-0.
You know, I remember one time he got hit with a foul tip, the runner on first, and next pitch he got hit in the same spot, and then the next pitch the guy tried to steal, and it looked like when he threw the ball to second, it looked like his arm fell off. Like it really did. It looked like his arm fell off, and you know, of course, timeout. You go get him. He's, you know, trainer comes out. He's like, "Ain't nothing wrong with me. Get back in there." Like, the trainer's like, "I think you might have broke your collarbone." And you know, lo and behold, he did. He went to the hospital and he had broken his collarbone, but yeah, he was fighting to stay in there. He was just, like I said, Don Baylor was a tough man, and I never played with Don Baylor, but I know Darren's the toughest guy I've ever played with.
Well, your sentiments are echoed by so many people around baseball. That's the one of the parts that really has stood out. You know, the leadership part of it and just how tough he was.
But I think that's how he got the respect of everyone on that team to become a leader, was because we all saw what he went through. And you know, there's some days you come in and you're feeling a little, you know, sore and beat up, whatever, and then you watch him come in, and well, he was already there because we both got there about the same time every day. But you know, you watch him walk in. Some days it didn't even look like I don't know how he walked from where he parked his car to the tunnel to come down into the clubhouse, but you know, he'd go in there for treatment. We'd sit in there and talk about whoever was pitching that night, and different hitters they had and whatever, and then you know, he'd suit up and go get them.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Cesar, and he takes low, 2-2. Nobody out here in the top of the 3rd. The Phillies down 1-0. Freddie Freeman hit a solo home run in the bottom of the 1st inning, as Julio Teheran is pitching for the Braves. Last time out, he allowed 8 earned runs against the Phils in 4 2/3. Cesar fouls it away, and it remains 2-2.
Yeah, to wonder if Brandon Phillips can play third base. How about that play he made on Eflin?
Fantastic play.
Saved him a couple runs.
Well, the Braves have said that Brandon Phillips, even though the first day he did not buy into it, he has bought into playing third base. 2-2 pitch, waved at. It's a breaking ball. Yeah, that's the 3rd strikeout for Teheran. 1 out here in the top of the 3rd. Time now for our Jeep Stump the Fans trivia question. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fans section for all the information. Please submit your answer on the subject line. John, the question is, which pitcher and 93 teammate of Darren Dalton was drafted in the round before him, the 24th round, in 1980? Which pitcher? Your teammate, too, of course.
Yeah, I would think. But I can't remember.
Freddie Galvis takes a strike, 0-1.
Oh man, I kept thinking over a roster.
Now, I will tell you, he was not drafted by the Phillies. Maybe that makes it a little easier.
No, that makes it harder. I was going to guess Mark Davis.
I'm going to tell you now that don't guess Mark Davis.
Mark was drafted by the Phillies and then ended up with the Giants.
1 ball, 1 strike to Galvis with 1 out. 1-2 to Freddie Galvis.
So Dutch was drafted in
1980.
1980?
Yep. Made it up for a cup of coffee in '83 when the Phillies went on to win the National League pennant. Fly ball center field, and Inciarte is under it for the 2nd out. 2 outs here at the top of the 3rd. And Daniel Nava is coming up.
Let's see. Drafted in '80. Was it DJ?
Well,
I'm
not allowed to answer at this point.
I'd like to be able to go through the whole roster. I know I'm going to forget someone. I know it ain't Greeny. Greeny was only like 20 when he was with us. He was probably 2 when Dutch was drafted.
Nava takes a strike, and it's 0-1.
That was the one thing with Darren. When his voice started going down, that's when you knew you were in deep stuff.
Really? Did you ever hear his voice go down toward you?
Oh yeah, he took me back there one day.
Did he really?
Yeah. Yeah, back in Video's room.
Is that where the meetings would occur?
Sit down. Sit on the couch. Yeah. I don't even remember what I did, but I'm sure it was something really stupid.
No balls and 2 strikes to Daniel Nava. Off the hands, down the left field line, and foul.
I just remember having a talk with him because when I first got there, he stood right on top of home plate, and he was so top hand strong. His left hand was so strong that he would hook balls foul. And one day we were in spring training, and I said, would it be nice if you could go line to line? And he said, yeah, but I'm not letting them get in there, man. They're not going to get in there. I said, well, yeah, but if you're hitting them foul, it's a strike. I said, try to hit some the other way. So he asked me, he said, what do you suggest? I said, you should back off the plate a little bit, and you're quick enough to get to those balls inside, but you need to be able to let a ball get deep and hit the ball the other way. And so in spring training, he told me, he said, I'm going to give it a shot, but if it don't work, I said, oh man, I'm dead. I think opening day he had 2 home runs to left field, 1 to left, 1 to center, I think.
Oh, even in the open, the one we showed, the home run we showed was an opposite field home run. Nava is retired, 4-3, and the Phillies go down 1-2-3 in their half of the third. We played 2.5. The Braves, thanks to a Freddie Freeman home run, lead at 1-0. We know your weeks fill up fast, but don't worry, you can still catch the fills. Download the NBC Sports app now and never miss the teams you love. And we start the bottom of the third. Phillies trail at 1-0 thanks to a home run by Freddie Freeman. Julio Teheran leads things off. Teheran went around on that pitch, so it's 0-2. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. I know you're not seeing the balls and strikes or the score. We're trying to get the graphics back up and running. But the Phillies trail at 1-0 on a Freddie Freeman home run. That was in the first. Teheran punches it over the first base side. That gentleman brought his glove and made a nice catch. Swing and a miss. 1 out, second strikeout for Eflin. So we begin the third with a strikeout, just as we began the second with a strikeout. And that'll bring Ender Inciarte to the plate. Well, we have kidnapped Larry Anderson from radio, and he's going to join Greg Murphy as they reflect on the life of Darren Dalton.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tom. Yeah, well, stealing Larry away for a couple of minutes. I know that you were very close with Darren, and even though you had some time to prepare, certainly not it's not an easy couple of days for you guys.
No, it's even though knowing and having been told that he was taken off his medication, and they had said it's going to be quick. Even though you know it's going to happen, it's tough when it does happen. When you first find out, it was a tough couple of days.
We just talked to Jim Leyland. I thought he said something very interesting because, wow, what a play by Freddie Galvis, as usual. He said, you know, when you talk about Darren Dalton, the first thing everyone talks about is the leadership, and of course he had that, but you forget what a good player he was too. And you know, what he was able to do on the field, he really did have it all.
He did, and you know, he went out there. I think his leadership became even better when his numbers increased. He got better. better. But it was almost like when you want to try and lead a team, it forces yourself to be better. And he did that. He made himself better. That was something I think people don't realize. That, you know, prior to 92, his career average was probably in the 230s, but he just, when he took the bull by the horns and became that leader, it upped his own game, and just a tremendous player.
I know you had some personal moments with him that forced you to up your game because that's the kind of guy he was. He wasn't letting anybody get away with anything.
No, he knew the thing about it. He had the knack of knowing when to pat you on the back and when to get in your face. And I watched him get in guys' face. I watched him pat guys on the back, and he knew at the right time, right place every time.
Before I let you go, it's so rare. It's something that we don't see very often now in today's game.
No, and it's something that's so important. And I want to say Salisbury, I'm not sure who it was, wrote a great article about the importance of leadership. He had that.
Larry, we appreciate your time. And thank you very much. Guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Murph, thanks. Tuesday, September 13th, will the Phillies take on the Miami Marlins. It'll be the final Hatfields Phillies Franks Dollar Dog Night of the season. Get your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. We go to the top of the fourth inning here in Atlanta. Maikel Franco, Odubel Herrera, and Tommy Joseph are due up. Phillies so far have managed 2 hits against Julio Teheran, who has retired the last 4 hitters that he has faced. Well, fans around Philadelphia have been turning out with their words of praise and remembrance for Darren Dalton, who passed away on Sunday at the age of 55, as Franco takes a strike. And obviously Johnny played a number of years with them. Jim Eisenreich played a number of years with Darren Dalton, and Izzy joins us right now.
Jimmy was traded with Darren to the Marlins.
That's exactly right. And Jim joins us now on the phone. Izzy, was it good that you went with Dutch to the Marlins in '97? At least you had somebody that you were comfortable with.
You know, he came in the July trade deadline, so he joined us. I was already with the team at the beginning of the year. He joined us in July, and honestly was just like he was with the Phillies. He was the key to us going to the playoffs and actually winning the World Series that year.
We've been talking tonight, obviously, with Johnny here in the booth. Larry was just on, Larry Anderson, and so many people talking about, what a great leader he was, but also, and Jim Leland made a point of pointing this out, what a great player he was. What was '93 like with Dutch and with Krucker and with all the guys? I mean, it seemed like, he was the ultimate leader of that team.
He absolutely was. And Johnny, I'm sure you've told them all, but he just was the best. The guys, when we went on the field, we just went to beat the other team. We did everything we could. He was our emotional leader. I always use the phrase, he's our brother. It could be our teacher, the disciplinarian, the bouncer, whatever. But he played too, and he was a tremendous player. At the same time, he was always quick to give us a pat on the back when, a job well done. He the ultimate teammate.
I like that. He was the bouncer sometimes, too.
And sometimes even the bartender, if we asked him to go get us one when we were running short.
He was very, very multifaceted, yes.
Yeah, I tell you, Jimmy, the last couple of days has been a lot of tears, but a lot of smiles and a lot of remembrance.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. And I don't know. You've probably seen him recently, but last time I saw him was at fantasy camp, and it was hard to see him then. But at the same time, I guess even though we kind of knew this may happen, we got tremendous memories of him and being our teammate, and probably even more so, just our friend.
Jim, John's talked about this, how you guys arrived at spring training in '93, and you guys felt during spring training that you would win that division. Was that echoed throughout the clubhouse, while you're preparing for the '93 season?
Yeah, I think so. And, some of us were new guys to the team. We didn't start with a team we're new, and it just became apparent, though, that whatever the Phillies did in '92, which apparently was a last-place team, kind of made the guys already there mad, and then the rest of us just joined in. And we were not going to be denied. And it was just a wonderful season, obviously, and just tremendous teammates. And that's what kind of, I think, got us going and got us to where we did.
I know you probably have thoughts of each of your teammates, whether it be the first time you met John, whether it be the first time you met Lenny, Schill, all those guys. But what was it, was there something that stood out when you got to know Dutch that year and what he was able to do?
Well, I just think, and I've told this to other people too the last couple of days, but he was probably a manager's dream player, just because, number one, he was a catcher, and he had to babysit our pitchers, which, Truckee understands that. But he also, any time there was any kind of issue, Jimmy Fregosi could just tell him, Dutch, we need to take care of this, and he would. And it wasn't a big deal. But it kept the clubhouse straight. The issues we had stayed there. We didn't carry them on the field. And like I said, we had a pretty good run,
And we had a lot of issues too. Jimmy, we had a lot of issues too. Let's not go around that. Let's not tiptoe around that.
Well, we did, but maybe the relief was getting to play. we took them out on the other team.
I know. I've had guys tell me that they were afraid of us, opponents. I had people that walked in our clubhouse and were intimidated because we were a little bit crazy, let's be honest, and but we took our cue from Dutch. Dutch wasn't going to let anyone push us around, and that got put to an end. And we started fighting back.
You're right, and it was. I know after a while too. We heard the rumors that some guys would like to have been in our clubhouse. They were kind of jealous and envious.
I would think as that year went on, and we're talking to Jim Eisenreich, remembering Darren Dalton over these last couple of days. I would think that as the year went on, people probably did think that way. They want to be in your clubhouse.
Yeah, I've had a lot of coaches tell me that they had players say, "Man, I've played just 1 year with those guys," but we like what we had. When Jimmy we already had a great offense in '92. We were unbelievably offensive. We just couldn't get anyone out. Then you get Jimmy comes on, and we knew what he could do offensively. Not only offensively, defensively, run the bases, smart player. And then we added a couple pitchers, and we thought to ourselves, why can't we win?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's two balls and 2 strikes to Odubel Herrera. Jimmy, what was it like, and we're talking to Jim Eisenreich, when he came over to Florida in 1997? I mean, I'm sure you were asked about it before the trade was made, but did he have an impact in that clubhouse in '97?
Almost immediately he did, yeah. And, of course, he wasn't catching anymore, so he was kind of relegated to be either an outfielder, first base, or, maybe a DH when we were doing interleague, which just started that year. So what he did was, and I'm sure you've heard the story too about his little speech. It was It was the first game he joined us in Cincinnati. We lost the game. We had an early, pretty good-sized lead. We played dumb, just a bad game to lose. And after the game was over, and Johnny, remember, you know what the old Cincinnati Riverfront Stadium's like, the old grungy dugout and, you know, the tunnel to the clubhouse. And anyway, Dutch had everybody go up except the players. Manager, you know, coaches, bad boys, they're all gone. So Dutch said, you know, I've only been here for one game, and you guys look like you're a, you know, a bleeping country club. You're better than that. And, you know, took them 20 seconds. That was it. You know, and, of course, we had, you know, Gary Sheffield, Bobby Bonilla, Al Leiter, Kevin Brown. We had some personalities. And what happened was the next day, he validated all that 20 seconds worth of talk by breaking a little broken bat blooper over the first baseman's head down in the corner and got a triple. And you know how he ran, his, you know, 1,000 knee surgeries. And I think that right there made the guys believe that, okay, what he said the night before, he meant it.
And he slid. Jimmy, he slid head first into third, didn't he?
Absolutely did.
I remember it well.
Yeah.
Well, 10-pitch at bat for Odubel Herrera, and the Phillies have a base runner here in the top of the fourth. It's 1-0. Atlanta's on top. Jim Eisenreich is joining us, talking about Darren Dalton. I guess I can ask both of you guys, could you guys ever imagine that clubhouse, that 93 clubhouse, could you ever imagine duplicating that again? I mean, it's one of those once-in-a-lifetime things, I would imagine, isn't it?
I've never had it. I've, you know, 10 years I've had it. We had, you know, had it with Darren, but other than that, no. It's rare.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go ahead, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I totally agree. I have never experienced it either. And you know, Johnny, my two younger boys still play ball in college and high school, and they know you guys, you know, and they knew Darren. They watched, you know, they never saw us play, but I preached to them about how we were that team. I don't even know if you can actually coach it or do it. It was a unique team, and I wish guys that still play could experience what we had, because it was a blast.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, people think we did have fun, but there was discipline. You know, I think people thought we weren't very disciplined, but man, Jimmy will tell you, anyone who played with us will tell you that at 7 o'clock, it was on. Mm-hmm. And no matter what we had to do, we were going to try to find a way to fight and claw and win.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, after the games, too, were over, whether we won or lost, we were in the training room eating and drinking and talking about the game. Mm-hmm. And a lot of guys, people don't really believe that. But, you know, we talked about what we could have done, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it went from what happened in that game. First of all, the starting pitcher that night, if he didn't pitch well, he had a tough time in that room. Not just from Darren, but from all of us. But once that was over, like about a half hour, 45 minutes into it, the next hour or so we were in there, it was about tomorrow. What do we have to do tomorrow to win? How do we hit this guy? How do we do this with this guy?
Well, again, it's one of those things that I don't know if we'll, you know, in Philadelphia alone would ever be duplicated. Odubel's at first base, no balls and 2 strikes, 1 out here in the top of the 4th inning. And Tommy Joseph at the plate. We're chatting with Jim Eisenreich, remembering Darren Dalton, who passed away this past Sunday. I didn't remember this because I was a 25-year-old covering the team as a writer at the time. But did Fergosi really just call him the catcher that whole 93 season? I saw a piece on that where he never referred to his name. He just said the catcher, you know, is going to have a good year, or the catcher this or the catcher that.
Yeah.
Is that what he just referred to him as?
Well, that's the way I've watched interviews and stuff from that year. Yeah. I tell you what, though, Jimmy, I tell you, man, he was a man's man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know,
all the way.
I've never been hugged so much in all my life, and you know, even when he came in January at the fantasy camp, he wanted to hug everyone.
Well, and I think we were telling.
And he did.
Yeah, we were telling people that every time you saw him, he left you with a kiss on the cheek and a huge hug that would, I mean, essentially squeeze the stuffing out of you. I mean, that's how he was. And was that how he was in January?
I got one every day for 6 years, playing with him every day. Every day he'd walk in, he'd walk over, hug me, kiss me on the cheek.
Yep.
Well,
and when you left, he said, "I love you."
Yeah.
He was, and he meant it. You know, I mean, that's the way he works. Absolutely.
Well, Dubel steals second base. Tommy Joseph goes down on strikes. Jimmy, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. I know it's a tough couple of days for everybody, but we really do appreciate you joining us and spending some time talking about Dutch.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Yep.
Good talking to you, Johnny.
All right, you too, Jimmy.
Jim Eisenreich, former Phil, part of that '93 team. You know, and Jimmy, when he came over to Philadelphia, he was a little different as far as personality goes.
Yeah.
And really he was a big piece of that '93 season.
It was you know, we someone on our team dubbed him a nickname that we probably shouldn't have. But I mean, it was from day one, and
that ball's hit out towards center. It's going to go to the wall, and Williams is going to have an extra base hit, and Odubel Herrera is going to score. The Phillies have tied this ball game up at 1. Nick Williams had been 1 for 13 before this ball game. Every time he has a little bit of a lull, he comes up with a hit like that.
Yeah, he does. And you know, it's been a lot of breaking balls for Nick early in the counts because he's been hunting that fastball first pitch, and this is what you like. You like him being aggressive in the batter's box. And that looked like a fastball, I would imagine, and he jumps on it right down in that nitro zone with that uppercut swing he has, that high launch angle. And that was launched pretty nicely by Nick, and we have us a tie ball game, and Cameron Rupp going to get a walk.
Intentional walk for Cameron Rupp, and Zach Eflin is up with 2 outs and a runner at runners on first and second here in the top of the 4th inning.
Eflin got robbed his first at bat.
Yeah, he put a pretty good swing on it. Brandon Phillips made a diving play over third.
And you see that he starts him out with a breaking ball.
No balls and 1 strike to Eflin. And he whacks it foul. It's 0-2 with 2 men down. Eflin hitting 143 as the game began tonight. This will be the 28th pitch of this inning for Tehran. And now Suzuki asks him to just step off. And a looper out towards center field. That's going to drop in for a base hit. Williams around third, heading for home. The throw by Inciarte, not in time, and the Phils take the lead. An RBI single for Eflin, his 2nd ribby of the year. Well, we mentioned he put a pretty good swing on the first one in his first at bat. Now that one, a little looper that does the job.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? You hit one on the screws, and third baseman Brandon Phillips makes an unbelievable play to rob you, and then you get jammed, and I thought they might throw him a breaking ball right there with 2 strikes. Zach's got a good swing, and here, look what he does with his bat though afterward. I mean, this ball came really close when Inciarte threw it home to hitting that bat. If it hits that bat, it could go anywhere. But that's smart by the hitter. I don't know if that was by design, but
they teach those pitchers to be crafty.
But you know, you'll see catchers who take their mask off and they'll set it right in front of home plate where you have to slide.
Yeah, or if there's a little dribbler in front of the plate, you'll see guys just toss their bat out there to make it a little more difficult. 0-1 to Cesar Hernandez. Phillies up 2-1 here in the top of the 4th inning. Eflin leads off first. Rupp leads off second. Boy, this is a long inning for Julio Tehran. It's a 30-pitch inning for the right-hander. Outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Cesar's first 2 times up, he has doubled. He's also struck out. Little dribbler, and it's 2-2. inside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. So the runners will get an early start here with 3 balls and 2 strikes and 2 outs.
Juan Samuel warning Cameron Rupp about the inside move from Tehran. Make sure his legs going toward home plate before you take off.
Runners take off. The 3-2 pitch. Hit foul over the third base dugout, so we'll do it again. Tehran 34 pitches so far in this inning, as compared to Zach Eflin, who's thrown 35 in the first 3 combined.
Now, this is what you like if you're the Phillies. You know, with Camargo going out there with the short bench, get to that bullpen, make him use up everything.
And there's that inside move that John just talked about.
That Juan Samuel's out front of things, isn't he?
You know what I didn't realize until yesterday is that, you know, Sammy came through the Phillies farm system with Dutch. I'd forgotten all about that.
We had a nice emotional talk today.
Runners go. 3-2 is a broken bat. 1 hopper picked by Mickey Morandini over at first. Oh, he is not going to stop talking about that.
We're done.
That was some of the best effort we've seen from him this year over at first base.
I mean, some things just never leave you. The nice soft hands. Watch him make a little short hop. Lucky.
Got the legs involved.
Well, yeah, then watch the next one. He's one and done with those hips.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 2-1 Phillies. And the runners go. Now the pitch is lined out toward left center field, but right at Inciarte. And the inning is over. A 36 pitch 4th inning for Julio Tehran. The Phillies scored 2. They pick up a couple of hits. We're talking hugs. There's Crucker, we were talking about with his relationship with Darren Dalton as we go to the bottom of the 4th.
He's been the best leader I've ever been involved with, and I've been in the game pretty long here. I'm sure Larry will say the same thing. I haven't seen anything close to it. Someone that cares so much about winning and cared so much about his teammates. You know the stories. We'd sit in the training room after the games, having a couple of beers, talking about the game, talking about the next game, talking about the pitchers, good situations, bad situations. God, you know, that was a lot of fun back in those days, and he was the leader of it all.
Well, Mickey, talking about Darren Dalton, who started those post-game sort of gatherings for you guys? Was that something that just evolved as the...
You know, when I was with San Diego, I would stay in, and Greg Nettles and Rich Gossage and guys like that, you know, they were stayers. You know, they stayed around, they talked baseball. So you know, luckily I would get invited in to sit with them, and because I was a rookie, and they accepted me, and I just always did it. I thought that was the way it was supposed to be. And then when I got to Philly, man, I'm like, people rushing out. I got traded with Randy Reddy, and Randy was a stayer. And, you know, we're like, man, where's everyone going so quick? Yeah, we'd sit there and have a couple beers and talk about the game. We're like, man, we're just talking to ourselves. And Dutch would stay in there because he was getting treatment. And he'd do it again.
Freddie Freeman out to left center field. Daniel Nava looking for the wall, and it's Odubel Herrera who makes the catch as he bumps into Daniel Nava for out number 1.
I'm not sure Daniel Nava's very happy.
Yeah, he was camped out under it there.
Well, he was.
You said it, Denver, though. He goes line to line.
I mean, it's a great play, and you know, you could see him. You could see Odubel was talking. I just don't know if Daniel Nava heard him.
He's still trying to get Nava's attention out there.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen until after the inning.
Well, 1 man down. Markakis takes strike 1. It's no balls and 1 strike.
No, and Bedrock was there when we first got there, and Bedrock would stay with us. Von Hayes started staying with us, and some others, Sammy.
Yeah, because when you're around that team, covering that team, and even now, when you guys reflect on '93, and even the year before that, people talk about that, and that doesn't happen. As strange as it sounds in baseball, that doesn't happen in baseball anymore.
No, and
0-2 pitches grounded out towards second. Cesar Hernandez up with it. 2 outs. Here at the bottom of the 4th, Phillies up 2-1.
But I like, even though in the my early years with Philly, even though we weren't very good, like the majority of us liked being around each other.
Right.
And it started building from there. And then we get, what do they call it? The Father's Day Massacre, they called it, when Bedrock got traded, and Sammy, I think, got traded. Then we get Lenny and Roger McDowell. And they were stayers. So now we're like, wait a second. Terry Mulholland came in with the trade, and Dennis Cook, and Charlie Hayes. And, Cookie and Terry were stayers. So now we're like, wait a second now. This is starting to be fun.
That wasn't a big room either.
No, but we had our places.
Yeah. 1 ball, no strikes to Suzuki. He fouls it off Rupp.
DJ came over. He was a stayer. Tommy Green was a stayer when we got him. Dale Murphy.
He was a stayer?
Yeah, he would sit around with it. And that was, to pick his brain, a 2-time MVP.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't like, everyone thought, oh, you just got to sit around a party. No, we learned. We learned from each other. We basically, a bunch of us grew up. Lenny, you have to remember, Lenny and Roger came from the Mets. They had a bunch of stayers.
Ground ball to third, picked up by Franco. These have been 4 solid innings for Zach Eflin in his major league return. Braves go down in order. We will move to the 5th inning. The Phils lead it 2-1. Top of the 5th inning, the Phillies on top of the Braves 2-1. The Phils scored their 2 runs in the 4th inning on an RBI double by Nick Williams and an RBI single by Zach Eflin. In between innings, here's Odubel Herrera heading into the dugout, talking with Juan Samuel. I think Sammy's just making sure that he was calling it the whole way.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it is the center fielder's ball if he can get to it. Oh, what a beautiful bunt by Freddie Galvis. Wow. I think it's the first time this year we've seen him bunt that in that area.
Well, you know, I think he should try it more often just because they play so deep on him. And why not? I mean, that was about as good a bunt you're going to see, a lefty taking it with him. Hey, nothing to do. Tehran's a pretty good athlete. If you see him, it started breaking toward third.
Well, Pete said a couple weeks ago when he was asked, well, what do you want to see Freddie do differently? He goes, I want to see him bunt more. And there you go.
It's a fine line. They wanted Odubel to bunt too, and sometimes he will lay one down when the situation doesn't call for it.
Nava's 0 for 2. He is struck out and grounded out. And Freddie gets back ahead of the tag.
I just don't. I'm assuming Juan Samuel was telling Odubel, you know, hey, you got to talk out there. I think Odubel was telling, because we could see it. He was talking. Now, were they talking at the same time? He and Nava, and that Nava didn't hear him because Nava was using more of a hand signal. You know, Odubel will take his eye off the ball, but once he locates it, knows he's not going to run into a wall, he's going to go after it. So you better use verbal with Odubel than the hand gesture. But with all that said, if center fielder calls it, you give way. I mean, you'd much rather have it that way than have the two of them stop and look at each other and the ball lands at their feet.
1 ball, no strikes to Daniel Nava. Strike to Nava. 86 pitches. You see the score bug is back up top.
There, wow.
There you go.
We're on the air.
It's all coming together now, John.
It really is. Must have been a rough trip for the stuff in the truck from Colorado to here.
Must have bounced around a little bit.
I'd like to see Franco bunt. You know, if they didn't feel playing back. You know, third baseman's playing back.
So you would want him to do that if he just started
to lead off an inning,
yeah.
like Freddie just did. You know, everyone says, yeah, but you know he has power. He can hit a home run. Okay, but if he hits 25 homer, you think 10 bunts a year? You think 10 bunts a year is going to keep him from hitting 25 homers?
Yeah, if he places it in the right spot, because obviously speed is an issue, but if he places it in the right spot.
Dave Hobbs was a fantastic bunter.
Was he really?
Right-handed? Yes, absolutely. He could bunt for a base hit with the best of them. They played him deep. Now, he could run. He was a lot faster than Franco.
Fly ball foul, and it's 2-2 to Nava. Here at brand new SunTrust Park in Atlanta, Georgia. The outside of this ballpark, there's still parts that are not complete that they are continuing to build, including a new hotel, and the Comcast building is moving along as well.
Weren't they concerned that they might not have it ready by opening day?
I think there was a little bit of a concern last year, but once they locked the doors of Turner Field, I don't think they were allowed to come back. That conversion is just about complete at Turner Field. There goes Galvis. Pitch is swung on and missed. Throw to second base by Suzuki on one hop off the glove of Jace Peterson. So Nava strikes out, and the Phillies get a stolen base to put a runner in scoring position here in the top of the 5th inning.
Now, this isn't one of these situations where I'd like to see Franco bunt, but Freddie got a great job. Tehran has got a high leg kick, a little slow to home. Phillies are Seem to be wanting to put some guys in motion. Odubel with the stolen base. Now Freddie.
So Michael 0 for 2. He's flied out to center. He lined out sharply to Brandon Phillips. Inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Phillies during this road trip have hit 3 home runs. That's been part of their issue. As Franco fouls it down the left field line, it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Mentioned their numbers with runners in scoring position. Now against the Braves this year, they're 9-2. Not too shabby. Averaging almost 5 runs per game against Atlanta. Got to think this is Tehran's last inning.
I've never been here. Where's their bullpen?
Their bullpen's in right center field. Phillies is down the left field line. That one's pulled foul. A 1-hop over the tarp. A little stretching going on in the Braves bullpen.
Working on his golf swing.
His follow through. Jason Motta's working on his grip. Franco takes in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hasn't given up a lot of runs, but he certainly is struggling with his command tonight. This is his 5th start since the All-Star break. He is 0-3 with an earned run average of nearly 7 since the All-Star break. Line drive down the right field line. That is a fair ball as it kicks up some chalk. Galvis around third, heading for home. It'll be an RBI single, and the Phils now lead it 3-1. Every once in a while.
Yeah, we do, but we also need a good piece of hit by Maikel Franco, and that was a beautiful thing. I mean, watch this swing. You see the short strike, but he kept that front hip in. When you keep that hip in, you have a chance on that ball. Now, if it was down, it would have been a different story, but it was elevated. You get your bat head to it. Ball just on the line, and now there's the bullpen scurrying after Phillies drop a 3 spot on him.
94 pitches for Tehran. And he gets Odubel out in front on the first pitch. No balls and 1 strike. Tehran's numbers are even worse here at SunTrust Park. In fact, folks have been asked from the Braves over and over why. And part of it, they think, is that Tehran's afraid of the long ball. So he's not being as aggressive as he usually is. 27 home runs allowed. As Sam Freeman starts to warm up in the pen. Swing and a miss. 0-2. The home numbers 1-7 with a 6.91 ERA.
Now, wasn't the other field a great hitter's park?
Yes.
But the old Turner Field that we played in, I played in, was a good hitter's park. What changes?
A fly ball down the right field line. Markakis is looking up, and it is Phillies into the chop house. A 2-run home run and a long one.
I'll take my medium rare, O'Doul. Wow.
It is now 5-1 in favor of the Phils. How about how much that ball carried? And that's 28 home runs allowed by Julio Teheran. He is the leader in the clubhouse.
You want some cowhide with that steak?
That's probably pretty startling for some of those folks.
I can imagine. You know, he swung at 2. The same 2 pitches. He swung at and missed, off balance, and that one he stays on balance. And just went down and got it.
As Tommy Joseph takes outside, that home run made a winner out of Kelsey Foraker of East Greenville, Pennsylvania. She won $100 in the McDonald's home run jackpot. Bouncer foul. No, not as clean as Mickey over at first.
Sammy's a little older.
Odubel being congratulated after his 12th home run of the year. Fly ball, shallow right field. And Markakis puts it away. 2 outs. Phillies baseball is brought to you by your local Ford store. Check out every new Ford car, truck, and SUV crossover at buyfordnow.com today. And by McDonald's. Enjoy an ice cold delicious soft drink for only $1. I'm loving it. Williams fouls it down the left field line. Played 101 pitches in the 5th inning. Now, you know, Phillies have had pitchers like that too. But this guy is supposed to be the ace of the Braves staff. That's what their hope is. Some also wondered if he felt the pressure of possibly being dealt. If he was disappointed by that, and they say no, he wanted to stay here. He did not want to get traded.
And another issue with the Braves right now is he's hitting 4th in this inning. He's not going back out for the 6th. You wouldn't assume.
Right.
And we know about their limited bench because of Camargo getting hurt prior to the game after the lineup cards were exchanged. So if they have to double switch, that leaves them with 2 position players, and one of them is a catcher.
Williams fouls it back. It remains 1-2. Yeah, they've got Lane Adams, Danny Santana, and Tyler Flowers. That's what's left on the bench for the Braves. Swing and a miss. Threw him a slider to get his 6th strikeout, but the Phils add 3 more runs. An RBI single by Franco, and then Odubel Herrera into the chop house in right field. Literally into the chop house in right field. That landed on somebody's burger. The Phils take the lead. Time now for our Citizens Bank minor league report. Citizens Bank, the official bank of the Phils. Visit citizensbank.com. Adam Hazley was named the Phillies player of the week after hitting .435 with a home run and 4 RBIs. And Ranger Suarez, he's had himself a pretty solid year. He was the pitcher of the week, 6 innings, no earned runs. One of the other big stories, minor league wise, is the fact that Rhys Hoskins is playing left field for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. He has been power shagging the last few days during BP and is starting in left field. And you know, Pete said they're going to take a look at him. Pete was asked today, you'll like this, John. He was asked today, you know, have you gotten any reports about how Hoskins is doing? As Adams waves the next pitch, it's 0-2. And he said, yeah. And they said, well, who'd you get him from? He said, Bo. Bo knows everything that's going on in the minor leagues. Bo knows what's going on in Lakewood. He knows what's going on in Williamsport.
Oh, yeah, he would bring up names. If you're struggling.
Now, so-and-so on A-ball's hitting really good. He plays first base, too. You better watch. Like, oh, my gosh.
1-2 pitches. I guess he had 5 plays last night and handled them without a problem.
Bring him up. He's ready.
Adams waves at it. 3rd strikeout for Eflin. Save your company tons of money in the form of lost working hours by ordering Fellows Aeromax Pro Air Purifier. It cleans the air of toxins and allergens and clears the air for your employees. Literally, nobody does it better than who but W.B. Mason. Jace Peterson, he singled his first time up.
You got to love what Eflin's doing. He's attacking the strike zone. He's using his fastball to get ahead.
Before his initial knee injury last year, this is kind of the way he was throwing. And then got roughed up in a couple outings before they shut him down for the year. A bouncer to first base. You hear Cameron Rupp tell Eflin to get over. And he does. 3-1 on the putout. 2 outs. Let's check in with Murph.
All right, thanks, Tom. It's time for our cold hard fact presented by Clean Crisp Coors Light. And the Phillies have won 6 consecutive games versus the National League East. That's their longest streak since another 6-gamer this year. Their .525 win percentage versus the East ranks 2nd amongst division foes, trailing only the Nationals. The Nationals are 28-19 versus the NL East for a .596 winning percentage. But Phil's right there at 2nd. They played very well against the East. It's been everywhere else that they've really had their struggles this year. But certainly they've had the Braves number of late.
And 9-2 against the Atlanta Braves. Albies lines one into left field. And a base hit. That's his 3rd hit since coming up from the minor leagues. And Lane Adams is going to come up as a pinch hitter for the Braves.
And that's a tough part, too. Now you're using a pinch hitter. You know, 5-1 game and 2 outs. Runner on first. You have to use your pinch hitter.
Yeah, I guess they could have let.
You know, right. I mean, where would Lane Adams go in? He's an outfielder, right?
Yeah.
Like, would he double switch with Adams?
He could do that. That might buy him some time.
Might buy him an inning or 2, right?
Mm-hmm. Breaking ball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. .105 pitches for Tehran, and 54. This will be number 55 for Zach Eflin. Nice spot. Another slider. Cut right to the outer half.
He's been really good. You know, you don't mind that 5-1 lead. First pitch to the 8th hitter's a fastball away, and he hits a base hit the other way. You don't tip your hat.
After his last minor league outing, he allowed 5 earned runs in 6 innings of work. He allowed 1 earned run in the start before that.
Yeah, and it's another thing too. If Albies on first base, you know, he steals and gets thrown out. Now you have to double switch, or else you're going to lose 2 guys.
There's the dirt. Rupp blocks it.
Probably why he ain't even thinking about running.
Well, you know, the first couple pitches, you know, he was inching more and more off the first base bag.
Yeah, I'm sure Eddie Perez and Ron Washington, the base coaches, said, "We tell you something. You get picked up here, we're losing 2 players."
Inside, 3-2. Now he will be off. Fastball just ran right in.
Had something on it though. 95 miles an hour.
Runner goes. Pitch is fouled. And Albies will go back.
He even runs the bases with his elbow guard on. Ooh, that one got him. Maybe he should loan that elbow guard to Lane Adams so he can put it on his foot.
Wonder why he has the elbow guard on.
He might even forgot he has it on, or maybe he's been hit sliding into a base, or
A high fly ball is short center field. Odubel Herrera comes sprinting in. Williams is there too. And Williams will make the catch. No runs, 1 hit. And 1 man left. 5 in the books. We'll go to the 6th. Fills up 5-1. From the DL and provided the spark the Phils lineup is needed. Since returning midway through July, Hernandez has been on base at a clip at above 400. Once on base, he has found his way around the diamond, helping the Phils cash in on offense. In his first 14 games back, the Phils were 9-5. He walked 7 times, stole 4 bases, and scored 12 runs. Cesar is needed to fuel the fire. He's done so. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Cesar is 1 for 3 in this ballgame. The Phillies with 5 runs on 7 hits. And now we go to the top of the 6th inning, and Sam Freeman will take over out on the mound. Freeman 1-0 with a 3.66 earned run average. Cameron Rupp will lead it off. Matt Stairs going over the scouting report on Sam Freeman with Daniel Nava, who, if he gets up, will bat from the right side.
iPads in the dugout. Wow.
Did you ever think you'd
no.
see that?
Nope.
Even having the thick binder. I mean, that's only been, what, the last 10 years maybe? Rupp takes outside 1-0.
Yeah, you wonder if some of it's paralysis by analysis type of deal.
There could be something to that.
How hard does he throw? Does he have movement? Does he have a trick pitch? That's all.
And sometimes if you have anything more than that, then your head will be spinning.
Yeah, like I would go to Lenny. Who does this guy throw like? This guy I haven't seen, but he might have seen. Like, who's he throw like? He'll say, oh, he throws like so and so. Okay.
Rough swings and misses at the 2-0 pitch.
I think sometimes you can have so much information that it by the time you knock that donut off your bat to walk up the home plate, you better forget everything that you've got in your head.
Two and two. Fastball in the inner half.
He had, if he gets behind, he'll throw you a breaking ball. Then you take you get 2-0 and he throws you a fastball right down the middle. Well, the scouting report said he throw a breaking ball. I don't know.
Swing and a miss. Rupp strikes out. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Toyota. Find your favorite model today. Toyota. Let's go places. Here at SunTrust Park, along with John Kruk and Greg Murphy, I'm Tom McCarthy. The Phillies lead at 5-1. This is game one of a two-game series. Zach Eflin is 1 for 2. He has driven in 1 run with a bloop single to center. And it's 1 ball and no strikes. Earlier tonight we saw Hall of Famer Tom Glavine. He came into the booth. Brings us back to that '93 season when you guys knocked the Braves out of the postseason to go on and face the Blue Jays. And
still looks like he can pitch.
He does look like he can pitch.
Really upsetting.
What was your quote when somebody asked you about? About beating both Glavine and Maddox to get to the World Series?
We go back to Philly for game 6 and 7, and they said, how you guys going to go about beating Maddox and Glavine? I said, we don't have to beat them both. We just have to beat one.
That's right. And you did. 2 outs, back-to-back strikeouts. Speaking of '93, it's time for our Jeep Stump the Fan trivia quiz answer. Which pitcher and '93 teammate of Dutch and John was drafted in the round before Darren in 1980?
Well, I was thinking out loud. Apparently I said it.
You did say it.
DJ.
Danny Jackson is correct. By Oakland. He was the 598th pick overall. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. That's a lot of picks before
that's startling, isn't
those
it?
2 players. One pitch coming to Cesar.
So can I explain why we have a little second here, why I'm sniffling? A lot of it is emotional. It's been an emotional few days. But I spray saline in my, my nasal.
Clear them out.
Yeah. So today, nothing different. I go in, get the cap off. Something burned so bad. I'm like, what the heck did I just do? My eye was, I thought my eye would just pop out of the socket. Apparently, I put the stuff you put in your ear when you have swimmer's ear.
Yes. Little different chemical.
Little different.
But you can hear extremely well through your nose.
Yeah. But I can't breathe. It's just.
So hence the sniffling.
Yeah, it's awful.
Did you check anything like
it burned? I don't have to wear nose plugs.
No, you do not. You know what you have to do? You have to go into the pool tomorrow. That'll clear it out.
I'm hoping. It was. It startles you because you're not expecting this intense pain.
No, you're expecting it to help clear it up.
Oh man.
We should really check on that though to see how long that's going to last for you. Keep you up overnight.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have my reading glasses. I already packed them up in my bag to come to the ballpark, so I couldn't get out and see if it was dangerous. I'm assuming it's probably not good for you.
There's ball 4. Well, you've survived up to this point, so except for every bit of skin inside your nostrils is burned off. So lesson at home, ladies and gentlemen. Read the label.
Well, look at what you're.
Or look down at what you're doing.
I should have looked down. I mean, I just grabbed it. The cap came right off like the other one.
I would think similar bottles.
Similar bottles, yeah.
Galvis hits it the other way, a base hit. And Cesar is going to hold up at second. And that'll put runners on first and second with 2 men down here in the 6th inning. Let's see if the scouting report that Nava was going over can lead to some more success.
Like, well, I wonder what all's on there. Like, do they tell you, like, you know, first pitch of the at bat he might throw this, second pitch of the at bat he might throw this if he's ahead.
I think that's part of it.
0-1, 1-0, he'll throw this. Oh my gosh, really? Huh.
How will go after lefties, how will go after righties.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Stairsy about that tomorrow, like what all's on that thing.
I do think it's interesting how Matt's evolved too over the last couple of years, whether it be from a computer standpoint.
Just by looking at him right there, deep thinker is the first thing that comes to your mind, right?
Yes. He's driven by technology also.
I mean, he's probably designed a few apps in his spare time, I'm sure. Maybe not.
For the last couple of years, he was trying to figure out whether he was going to buy a computer or not. Because Ben, Murph, and Fransky all have the same computer. And Matt has been trying to think, should I get the same one? Isn't that right, Murph?
Yeah, he decided against that, though. I think he decided, you know what, I don't need to buy a computer. I'll just use my phone if necessary.
And that's what he did.
Actually, Matt's a little more technical than you might think, though. He's actually pretty good with,
I'm with
that
you.
stuff.
We were just watching him with the iPad.
He's a whiz.
So, like, is this like football? If the headsets go out, like if his Wi-Fi goes out, the other team can't use theirs?
I don't think so. I think it's everything's stored. You can store whatever you want on the computer or on the iPad.
Oh, really?
But you cannot search the internet or anything like that.
Oh, so you can't cheat, basically.
That's right.
Yeah, all the information you have has to be
downloaded before.
Yeah, loaded before the game.
That's Kevin Camasholi who does all that.
Wow.
In fact, if you got yourself a new computer, John, Kevin will download some stuff for you.
I'm driving. I don't need to read all that.
0-2 pitch coming to Nava, and he grounds it out to shortstop. Peterson will flip it to second, and the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit, 2 men left for the Phils. We have completed 5.5. Now to the bottom of the 6th inning. The Phillies up 5-1. Phillies baseball is brought to you by your local Chevrolet dealers. By Jefferson Health. Call 800-JEF now or visit jeffersonhealth.org. And by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Phillies are on top 5-1 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And this is something the Braves introduced this year. That is the freeze on the left field line. And he gives a fan the chance to get a 5-second lead. And then he takes off. Now, he's lost only 6 times this year. And this is the 6th time. I mean, that guy looked like he was slowing up around center field, but then maintained some consistency once he went past the right center field gap. And everybody is watching. It doesn't matter where you are. Look at Hector Neris. Nigel Dalton.
They didn't even throw the ball around the infield. Everyone, the outfielders, the infielders, the coaching staff, the guys on the top rail, they were all watching.
I'll be honest, last time we were here,
it could have been the most exciting thing I've seen today.
I think it's one of the best promotions of the year.
Yeah.
We were here earlier this season.
So if they have a double header, does he have to run twice?
I think he's going to run in one time. I was going to say you'd have to run twice.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do every home game.
Oh, he doesn't?
But a majority of them. I think he works on the grounds crew, too.
Tell you what. Braves get another player hurt or two. He could pinch run.
He wouldn't do a bad job. He just barely failed qualifying for the Olympics as a sprinter. We've now seen him lose twice.
Wow. So
I really thought he was going to blow right past that guy at the 375 mark in right center field. Is it Ciarte? Pops it foul. They've had so much rain here at SunTrust Park. If it does rain, if the field's wet, he doesn't do it. Ground ball back to the mound, handled by Eflin. And one out as Ciarte trots slowly up the line. Well, time now for our State Farm double plays. He's had some good defense tonight.
Yes, he has. He started one of them, although it wasn't pretty. The ugliest double play in the history of Philadelphia Phillies baseball. 1-6-3, and then the glove work, the bare hand, the toss over to Tommy Joseph, that middle infield, the dynamic duo. And those are our State Farm double plays. State Farm, here to help life go right.
Well, it certainly has gone right tonight for Zach Eflin. One out. Here's Brandon Phillips. And a ground ball foul. Phillips is 0 for 2. He's grounded into that double play and hit one back to the mound. Popped up over to the right side. Tommy Joseph, and makes the catch and foul territory for the second out. Freddie Freeman's coming up, and he is our participant in our Geico quote of the day on his support for Brian Snitker. I went to them, meeting management, a couple weeks ago and expressed to them that we love Brian in here. That's all I can do is tell them how I feel about a guy who's put in all the time and done everything possible to help us win. He deserved the managerial job when he got it, and we all hope that he's back. Well, I think they've overachieved this year.
I do too. I didn't, I thought it'd be close, with the Phillies and them for, next to last in last place.
Well, we don't make all those decisions, but from the outside, I mean, it seems like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think they're a better team than anyone expected coming into this season.
59-65 last year when he took over as the skipper, and obviously 51-59 this year. Well, Zach Eflin has allowed 5 hits and 1 run over 6 innings. We move to the 7th here in Atlanta with the Phils up by 4. Time now for your Delaware Valley Honda dealers game summary. So the Phillies fell behind 1-0 on a Freddie Freeman home run in the first, but then scored 2 in the fourth. Nick Williams got that thing rolling, and then 3 in the fifth. Odubel Herrera hit a 2-run home run. So now as we go to the 7th inning, the Phillies leading at 5-1, and Luke Jackson, his 32nd game, 2-0 with a 3.82 earned run average, takes over for Sam Freeman.
Yeah, we talked about Camargo getting hurt while he was running out to his position before he even got into fair territory. And we contemplated whether Dansby Swanson would be coming up, and
sounds like he's on his way.
Sounds like he is on his way. They pulled him out of the lineup against in Gwinnett,
which isn't too far. It's only, let's say, about, well, depending on traffic, 45 minutes. As Maikel Franco smokes one deep to left, but foul. It almost hit the John Smoltz number 29.
Almost hit Smoltzy. You know your career numbers aren't good when they have 3 retired numbers and you faced them pretty much their whole career, or my whole career.
It's true. You did face them pretty much your whole career.
I remember Greg Maddux in high school. He was in high school in Las Vegas, and I was playing in AAA there, and we read about him a lot.
2 balls and 1 strike. Did you run into any fans here in Atlanta? Do they remember you? Do they like you?
I hope not.
No.
No, I done and said some things that probably would upset a few of them.
3-1.
I was joking with Larry Anderson. I got on the elevator. I was joking to a lady out there. I said, "Could you come be my bodyguard? Because someone would take a swipe." Because you got to kind of walk through the concourse to get him.
Yes, you do. Maikel Franco grounds out to shortstop. And 1 out here in the 7th. Here's Odubel Herrera, and he provided us with tonight's Toyota turning point in the 5th inning.
Hey, sure did. And 3 breaking balls by Tehran, basically in that same spot. And that one, you know, 1's good, 2's better, but 3's good luck. And he hit one right in that chop house. That's our Toyota turning point of the game, and it was a big turning point by Odubel Herrera.
And that ball did fly. I mean, when John said it landed in the chop house, it literally went in the chop house.
And you got to make a decision, ribeye or that baseball.
You can always get a ribeye.
You can always get a baseball too.
It's true, but not one that's game used. Although I guess you can buy one now. Want to know to Odubel.
going ribeye medium rare.
You are?
Yeah, baseball can wait.
That's because you've been around baseball for a long time. You know you can get one at any point.
I've been eating longer, though, so you'd think I'd rather want the baseball.
Back toward the middle. Jackson lost his glove, and Peterson was able to get to it, but it'll be an infield hit for Odubel Herrera.
But that might be the Olympic glove throwing. Did you see where that one ended up?
Yeah.
Almost hit Odubel.
You are not allowed to throw your glove at the ball.
Watch where this baby ends up.
I have to admit, I was watching when the ball went in shallow center. I didn't realize the glove flipped like that.
Yeah, I thought Odubel might want to stop and catch it. I think he called for it running up to first, and he remembered, wait a second, I got to get me a knock. And it is a knock for Odubel.
Yeah, second hit of the day. He's been on base 3 times, and Tommy Joseph, the hitter. And he bounces it toward third. A foul ball.
It's a guy that's got to get rolling.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle.
Well, and Pete made it a point of saying today, you know, there's a lot of speculation about Rhys Hoskins and when he's going to come up. Now, if Rhys comes up, you know, he's taking fly balls out in left field. So there's no plan to have Rhys play ahead of Tommy. So Tommy can sort of relax from that standpoint, at least for the time being. Just a lot of fly balls to the right side,
Yeah,
pop-ups to the right side.
It looks like he's just lunging a little bit. He's getting out on his front foot, getting that head over his front foot a little bit, and jamming himself. We've got to remember, try to keep your head in the center of your body.
Odubel is back. By the way, Odubel is the first Philly with a hit and a run in 10 straight games versus a particular opponent, in this case the Atlanta Braves. Jimmy Rollins was the last one to do it in 2005 in 12 straight games against the Marlins. Odubel goes, the pitch is swung on and missed, and the ball pops out of Suzuki's glove. Stolen base number 7, his second of the night.
But again, that was another swing by Tommy where he's just letting that head drift too far in front of his body.
Off the hands, out toward shallow center, and Inciarte makes a sliding catch. That's a solid play for the second out.
Inciarte is a good player, and you know, with all the injuries to A.J. Pollock, you don't think the Diamondbacks wish they still had that guy? But that is our Hyundai defensive play of the game. Tommy gets jammed. Odubel with a great read on this ball. You know, knowing that Inciarte has such great closing speed, and that's our Hyundai defensive play of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
Inciarte, a Gold Glove winner, stretching out that arm. And Nick Williams, who has doubled tonight and walked.
That's amazing. You know, we talk about Matt Stairs, and we talk about the computer and all this statistical information. And when we were in Colorado, first pitch to Nick Williams, breaking balls, breaking balls, breaking balls. Now, what changed from that flight to here?
I don't know.
That the Braves are throwing him fastballs, he's getting good swings on them.
Fouled away, and it's 1-1.
I guess Stairs,
he's out teching him.
Well, he just, you know, it's a mismatch. Stairs ain't anyone else on the computer.
You are right, though. If you're going to pitch Nick Williams until he adjusts, you probably would go soft,
Yeah,
and soft.
that's what that's why all this information sometimes is too much.
Odubel leads off second. That's to the right side. Jackson will get to it and then just run to the bag. Nick Williams could beat the freeze. One unassisted, no runs, one hit. And one man left in scoring position. Time to stretch with the Phillies on top 5-1.
It's a blue-collar city. He was a blue-collar player. When he first came up, he wasn't a very good hitter. He learned how to hit. But he never ever didn't believe in his abilities. He played with a lot of confidence. The bottom line is he wanted to win more than anybody. And I think the fans appreciate that kind of effort. And they knew what he went through every single night to get out there and play.
We remember Darren Dalton, which we have done throughout the course of tonight. We've done it. We did it yesterday during the off day. Johnny, I know, had to do a lot of interviews, and so did Larry Boa and Larry Anderson. Larry, of course, was the third base coach of that 1993 team. And what he said was true. I mean, he had to make himself a good hitter, but never lacked confidence.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I played against him in the minor leagues. That's why I thought, boy, he's just another player, you know. Nothing stood out. You know, except of course his looks and his build and, you know, all that stuff. But once you got past that, but you know, the funniest story, first time I stepped up to plate when Darren was catching, we were in Portland, and that's where the Phillies AAA team was at the time. You know, close proximity to Philadelphia. Yeah. But I had an open stance, and you know, every time I would step back to open my stance before the pitcher would get his sign, Darren stood up and called timeout. Did it like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, what are you doing? He said, what, are you ready? What? I said, yeah. He goes, you hit like this? I said, yeah. He goes, this is going to be so easy to pitch to you. He said, I'm down and away. The first pitch, I had to double down the left field line. He's cursing me the whole way to first base.
That's so great. He had never seen an open stance like that.
Not like that one, I guess.
3 balls, no strikes to Markakis. Outside, 4-pitch walk. And that'll bring Kurt Suzuki to the plate. Just 75 pitches for Eflin. Looks like Bob McClure is going to the phone.
Here, there's a computer.
Matt targeted. Well, and we also mentioned Juan Samuel and Sammy, you know, basically in some way, shape and form went through the farm system.
Yeah.
With Dutch.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen Sammy since Darren passed away, and you know, it was tough.
0-1. Sammy had several good years with the Phillies before he was traded, and you know, that trade became a big part of that 93 team, obviously, with Roger McDowell and Lenny coming over from the Mets. Inside, 1-1. Every time the Phillies retire the opposition 1-2-3, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Foul tip, and it's 1-2. This is good to see. After the 4-pitch walk, he's come back now and he's worked himself ahead of Suzuki.
Yeah, pitching smart. The series in at Philly when the Braves were, it looked like Suzuki was just trying to launch, lock and load, and try to pull everything, and really smart trying to get the ball way to him right now in this game.
On a line drive out toward left field, that'll drop for a hit.
Got that one up too much.
All right, so first and second, Ramos and Milner both warming up in the bullpen.
Freddie going in to make a nice visit.
You're a diehard Philly fan. You deserve podcasts. They're always talking your teams. Check out CSN Podcasts and take your fandom to the next level. Subscribe and download on Apple, Google Play, or csnphilly.com. Matt Adams, the hitter. 5-1 Phils. And a liner out toward left center field. Here comes Nava and Odubel. It's going to drop for a hit. Markakis will score. And now it's a 5-2 ball game, and the tying run is coming to the plate. That might be a cue to have Bob McClure come out.
Yeah, but you know, this is the fine line between. This is why these guys make money too, because Suzuki hits one off the end of the bat, breaks his bat on a breaking ball away, base hit. Adams hits one off the end of the bat, flares one, a little blooper into center for a base hit. I mean, these balls aren't hit hard.
No.
But it's just, does a leadoff walk concern you with what's happening right now? I mean, yeah, the leadoff walk came around to score, but he's made good pitches since he's had that leadoff walk. Sometimes you make a good pitch and still get a hit.
Yeah, and again, he's only at 80 pitches. Now, that doesn't always dictate fatigue, but it's only 80. All right, so with runners on first and second and nobody out, Bob McClure is out. Jace Peterson is the scheduled hitter for the Braves. He is 1 for 2 tonight.
Shortly you might have to say scheduled hitter. They might not have any more left. They have a pitcher who can hit.
Boy, that's a good question. I would say a few years ago maybe R.A. Dickey, but not so much. Peterson was down in the minor leagues when the Phillies faced the Braves at Citizens Bank Park. Got a first pitch in there. It's 0-1. Their best hitting pitcher was the starter tonight.
Yeah, that's
Julio Teheran.
Re-entry rule? Probably not.
0-2. Well, he's got Albies on deck, and then it's the pitcher's spot. So if he can get Jace Peterson here, he might be able to see his way through this inning. Jim Johnson and Max Fried, the pitchers warming up in the pen. Nava's going to give this a look, but it's going to be back a few rows. Oop.
That was missed by many.
It sure was.
Look at that.
Including the cover of the Chico Belmon's Bad News Bears jersey. That's a classic.
Found my favorite fan here tonight.
Towards center field. It's not deep. Odubel has it, tagging at second is Suzuki, but just to draw the throw. And the runners remain, 1 out. And here is Albies. If you're wondering about doubling up Albies, he does run well. And going from the left side of the plate. Danny Santana's coming out of the on-deck circle for the Braves. Phillies couldn't get him out the last couple of days in Philadelphia after he went through an 0 for 15 stretch.
Well, you mentioned that Albies doesn't, tough to double up, but you know, after a leadoff walk, 2 bloop singles, give up a run, Eflin's 1 pitch away from getting out of this inning.
Off the hands, popped up out towards shallow right. Hernandez is out, Williams is in, and Williams makes the catch. Two outs. Made a good pitch.
You made a real good pitch. Been impressed with Eflin. Different pitcher. You know, he's throwing the fastball with conviction. He's pitching in, I think, more than what I remember him pitching early in the season when he was up.
Take a look at PitchCast presented by Mazda.
Perfect pitch.
Yeah, I think there's a little extra movement too.
Yeah, but you know, he elevated that one. That's a tough pitch for lefty to get to. Now finish it.
Santana 6 for 29 as a pinch hitter this year. Decides to throw a slider on the first pitch, and it's 1 ball and no strikes. Bouncer back to the mound, and Eflin is going to get out of the 7th inning. He allows 1 run on 2 hits. And he leaves 2. He has pitched 7 innings. He's allowed 2 runs overall. Phil's lead it by 3 as we go to the 8th.
Professional.
Couple of days, the passing of Darren Dalton. Jeff Conine, sad day for baseball. One of my favorite teammates, Jim Cott. This was a cool one too. Nice to read about Darren Dalton and Don Beller as people, not pieces, identified by statistics. The Marlins organization also sent out their sympathies toward Dutch's passing. And Mitch Williams, there will always only be one Dutch. Now he watches over us from above in heaven's clubhouse. Hashtag great friend. And how about Seth Joyner? R.I.P. Dutch. It's been my pleasure to know you, my friend. I will see you on the other side. Todd Pratt also tweeting. Todd's managing in the minor leagues. The best leader on and off the field I have ever met. I owe my career to him. He was a dude. That's those sentiments have been echoed by several. Tommy Green, said that he saved his life. With
yeah, after Tommy's wife passed away of cancer, and Tommy was in a bad place. I, spoke to him a few times, and he didn't know where he was going. He didn't know what his life was gonna lead to, and Dutch took care of him like he's apt to do.
Well, Max Fried is making his major league debut tonight for the Atlanta Braves, as he will take over here in the top of the 8th inning with the Phillies on top 5-2. You saw Eflin in the dugout. The Phillies bullpen is quiet right now. We'll probably know more as to whether they'll let him go back out there again. I would think he's done after 7, but we'll see.
Well, is he in the on-deck circle?
Cameron Perkins just popped into the on-deck circle.
I think we have our answer.
There it is. Todd Pratt takes out. Todd Pratt. Seriously. Cameron Rupp takes outside. There's Danny Santana. And they'll throw that baseball out. His first pitch.
Really? What's he getting right on? My first pitch in a big league.
It was a high ball.
8 feet over Cameron Rupp's head.
2 and
I wish I'd have got the ball. Yeah, first pitch swung and popped up to left. Hey, what's this ball mean?
That one?
No. Wow.
3-0.
It's a great game, isn't it?
It's a game of keepsakes.
I guess. I still want to know what these closers do with all the baseballs they get.
Next time we run into Mariano, we'll ask him what he did with all his. 3-1.
Mariano, what's he got? 600 and something?
Yes.
Like, what do you have to build onto your house to put all those in?
Inside, ball 4. So the first batter frees face as he walks.
Throw that one out too.
Phillies baseball is brought to you by your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer. Visit DelValHondaDealers.com. And by WB Mason. Who bought WB Mason for fast, free delivery? Nobody does it better. Cameron Perkins pinch hits and takes a strike.
Well, he got a good arm.
Yeah, he does.
94, 95.
Surprising that he would be that far under 500 in Double-A with that kind of stuff.
Well, saw the first 4 to Cameron Rupp.
One ball and 1 strike to Perkins. Inside, 2-1.
I mean, you can imagine what his mind's going through right now.
Oh, I'm sure it's racing.
I couldn't wait to get out of there. Bob Welch threw me first pitch up and away, and I swung and hit it to the warning track in left field.
Who was Welch pitched for? The Dodgers?
Dodgers, yeah. I was walking up the home plate, Dodger Stadium, and said, if he throws it close, I'm swinging. Because you heard the horror stories from some of these umpires. They're going to test you. If they throw anything close, it's a strike. I'm like, I ain't going to get behind.
Yeah. Good breaking pitch there.
Yeah.
That's his first major league strikeout. Baseball goes. Fried is the top pitching prospect for the Braves.
And you can see why. I mean, that's a big curveball right there. And again, it's I would imagine his numbers. It's harnessing his command and his location.
Yeah, 2-11 with a 5.92 earned run average in 19 starts.
How many walks does he have? That
43 walks and 86 2/3.
That's too many.
Yeah, that's too many. Well, that's part of it too. I think we're seeing in baseball more kids coming up with less command.
But it's not the walks. Now you're getting, you get experienced hitters who you might not walk them, but 2-0, they can sit on something.
Inside. Originally drafted by the Padres in the first round in 2012, 7th pick overall. And then eventually traded over here to the Braves.
Did he come over here with Kemp?
He came over in the Matt Kemp trade. The bouncer back toward the mound. And Fried will throw out Cesar for the second out up to second base.
I think he handcuffed Freddie Freeman right there too. A little giddy up on that throw to first. I mean, he took a curl step and threw a bullet at Freddie.
Look at the smile.
That's a nightmare. Especially if they hold it for a little bit and then they just turn and fire.
By the way, he wasn't in the Kemp deal. He was in the Justin Upton deal. Upton went to San Diego. Breaking ball way outside. He came over with Jace Peterson and Malik Smith. Smith is no longer with the Braves.
That got to be a tough racket, huh? Making trades. You're trading a veteran guy that you kind of know what he's going to do. Try to get some prospects to hope you know what they can do.
Yeah, projecting like you would with a draft, but you know, it's like the Phillies when they traded Cole Hamels.
So that's what's so different about this game than, say, basketball, football. You know, these guys leave college in basketball or high school in basketball even after their first year of college. Basically still high school kids, let's be honest. But you know if they can play. I mean, you have an idea that they're going to be really good. You have no idea. Kid coming out of high school and you draft him, in the first round of the draft, you don't know if he's going to be, if he can handle it.
Yeah, not only the ability, but also everything else that's around it. 1-2 to Freddie Galvis with a runner at second here in the top of the 8th inning. And he punches it back toward the middle. Albies has it. And the inning is over. 4-3 on the putout. So a scoreless frame for Fried in his major league debut. We'll move on to the bottom of the 8th. It's Runs for Radiothon. For every run the Phillies score during the month of August, the Phillies will make a contribution to the Help Our Kids Radiothon, benefiting the Nemours Alfred I. DuPont Hospital for Children. You can find out more at nemours.org/radiothon. Phillies have scored 5 runs here tonight, 5 runs on 9 hits. Zach Eflin is done after 7 innings, 2 earned runs. The Phillies will pass the torch over to Hobie Milner. Milner is up to face not only Ender Inciarte, but also Freddie Freeman. Nick Markakis, if we get that far. 0-1. Upstairs. Inciarte today is 1 for 3, extended his hitting streak to 13 games, his first time up. And that's into the crowd. I was going back and reading this Matt Breen story on Hobie Milner when he got called up. I didn't realize that Hobie's father, we were talking about this the other day, was a longtime scout. in Major League Baseball. He was a scout for the Yankees and a coach for the Yankees and the Cubs as well. He was an 18-year-old catcher for the Blue Jays, picked in the 7th round. They brought him up for 2 games as an 18-year-old, and they sent him all the way back to rookie ball. And he never got up to the big leagues.
Cool world, man. That ain't right.
Probably thinking,
tough.
Yeah. Probably thinking, well, this is easy. Inside 2-2.
Yeah, but I think, I think what the Phillies are doing right now, you got to look, with Hoskins going, taking some balls in left field. Yeah, you got to look around and understand it. There's not many secure spots on this roster for next year. And this is what's exciting. That's what these guys have to understand and they have to play for.
He talked about that today. He said, there are still, in his mind, he said he feels like things are starting to come together, but you never know with some of these young players like a Hovey Milner. Can they prove they can get lefties out, even if it's one lefty and that's it?
Yep.
3-2 pitch out to center field. Odubel Herrera is there. 1 away. Brandon Phillips is coming up. Let's check in with Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thank you, Tom. Time for our unlimited baseball break presented by T-Mobile. Major League Baseball getting set for the postseason. They unveiled their schedule for the playoffs today. As we know, the regular season will end on October 1st with all the games being played at 3:05. Then any tiebreakers will be played on the 2nd. Then the wild card, the American League first on the 3rd. Then the 4th will be the National League wild card. The Division Series will then start on the 5th. A week later, the Championship Series on the 13th. And Game 1 of the World Series scheduled to begin on October the 24th. So that is how the schedule will play out with the postseason. Always a good time, even when your team is not in it, the baseball playoffs. And how about Giancarlo Stanton and what he has been doing recently with the Miami Marlins? How about his 5th home run in 5 games, number 38 on the season? That is a new career high for Giancarlo Stanton. We are just in the middle of August at this point. He is hitting them and hitting them often. He has 12 home runs since the All-Star break. That is best in baseball. He has really started to come on, guys.
I watched it last night when he homered against Scherzer. It was later on in the game, and it was a 2-1 ball game. Harper had homered earlier in the game, and Bob Carpenter and F.P. Santangelo were doing the game for the Nationals, and they were saying just moments before, well, you got to be careful with him right here, even though Scherzer doesn't back down to anyone, and he absolutely crushed one.
Yeah, I think Scherzer struck him out the first 2 at-bats of the game, and then, like you said, one pitch can either make your day or ruin your day. And I'm sure Mad Max was ruined after that one.
Cesar Hernandez's throw goes by Tommy Joseph, and Brandon Phillips is going to be aboard. Well, on Friday night, Giancarlo Stanton, one of his 2 home runs here. Look at that. Hit just below the camera well out in center field. 477 feet.
Wow. Right underneath the camera well in the shot clock.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic power year.
Yeah, and it all started when they moved him to 2nd in the lineup.
Yep. Freddie Freeman takes inside. Fans don't like that. Popped him up. Over near the Phillies dugout. Rupp is on the run, and it's out of play. Phillies need to get 5 outs to wrap up win number 2 in a row. Luis Garcia warming up with the bullpen.
I'm sure this is if something would happen that Markakis and or Freddie Freeman get on. Luis would come in to try to get Suzuki out.
Jim Johnson keeps warming up in the bullpen for the Braves. One ball, 2 strikes. And 2-2. Phillips still at first base. Oh, how did Freddie Freeman? Well, how did he not take that? But how did it not hit him? He fouls it back.
Yeah, that's. I'm hoping this is a slider. If it's not, this could hurt.
To the right side, Galvis has it, flips to Franco for 1, over to first, and Freeman's able to beat it out. Well, good attempt by the Phils. They go 6-5 at second base. Tommy Joseph is looking over to the Phillies dugout. I think the Phillies want to look at this one. It would be a crew chief review, because we are in the 8th inning.
Franco, pretty good turn right there at shortstop. And he'd been there before.
Wow. Boy, that is close. I think the lunge by Freddie Freeman made it closer. All right, so they will take a look at it. Chris Segal is the first base umpire. Jeff Kellogg to the right is the crew chief.
You know, I
Yeah, he's there. Yeah.
Yep. You know, to go back to those tweets. Jeff Conine said that Darren was the best teammate he's ever had.
Yeah.
And he's only been he was only a teammate of Darren for
half a year.
Half a year.
Yeah.
I think that tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, because Conine would give up some playing time also for Dutch that year. I thought that was interesting what Eisenreich though said that first game where he and maybe somebody told him, hey, listen, it's a little bit of a country club there.
Yeah, he could have known it. He could have known that coming in.
But he also faced them.
Yeah. You know, that was the thing. He wanted to know how you took losses. You know, if you were happy about it and accepted it and whatever, you know, that didn't sit well.
Where do you think he learned all that? Did he have it in the minor leagues, or is it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, I think with him, you know, and a lot of us that played on that team, you know, we never won.
Yeah.
You know, we played on teams that finished in, you know, close to last every year. After a while, you're tired of it.
Ground ball to shortstop, and Freddie Galvis throws out Markakis, and Hobie Milner has a scoreless 8th inning. No runs, 1 infield hit, and 1 man left. We will go to the 9th. The Phils up 3, trying to add to their lead when we come back. January 17th to the 21st of next year. It's Phillies Fantasy Camp. 5 days and 4 nights. 3 different experiences to choose from. It's located at the Carpenter Complex in Clearwater, Florida. Join Phil's legends like Greg Luzinski, Jim Eisenreich, Milt Thompson, Mike Lieberthal. Stairsy will be there as well, plus the commish, Mickey Morandini, and a special guest appearance by Charlie Manuel. Call 610-520-3400. Top of the 9th inning, Phillies up 5-2. Fried is back out there to pitch against Daniel Nava. Nava tonight is 0 for 4. Ground ball to shortstop. 1 pitch and 1 away. And Michael Franco is coming up. By the way, all around the Delaware Valley tonight, they were painting with a twist. Even the Fanatic was there. Wow. That is a beautiful picture. Through the CSN on there. You know, we've been promoting this. It was not only just one site, it was a handful of sites around the Delaware Valley. Mary and Madison, 2 of the Phillies ball girls, were there to contribute. We'll have more video tomorrow from the event. I know there were some spots available in 2 of the locations going into today, but they were filling up quickly. Franco takes low, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Hector Neris is warming up in the bullpen for the Phils. So he'll come on in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Yeah, you have a feeling that if the Phillies score 1 more and it's not a safe situation, they might bring in Luis Garcia. Luis needs to get in a game and get a clean inning. His last couple haven't been very good.
Yeah, just to clear the slate a little bit. Out toward right center field for Franco. On the run is Inciarte. He's going to get to the spot just in front of the Georgia Power sign. And he reels it in for the 2nd out here in the 9th inning. Well, he does cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, he's a good player. I think he's a winning type player. I think, you know, he's a guy that can do a lot of different things. Steal bases, play great defense, hit for average, get on base.
Odubel, a couple runs, couple RBIs, and he takes a pitch low, 93.
Odubel pointing out to home plate umpire that ball was down. I think it's remarkable that he's gotten his average up to 280.
To be down at 218, and now he lines one into the corner, and he's going to have another extra base hit. So he's got a double, a single in his last at bat, and a home run back in the 4th. And 34 doubles now for Odubel Herrera. Well, I mentioned this before. Most consecutive games with a hit and a run versus the Braves. He's now at 10 straight. Marky Vaughn and Lefty O'Doul have the record.
It's a breaking ball. Just stayed over the center of the plate, but easy ball for a lefty to pull off on and roll over a ground ball. That's one thing I'd say about Odubel. He stays in there good against lefties.
Yeah, that's the 2nd time tonight where he's been able to stay in on that curve. So they intentionally walked Tommy Joseph to now face Nick Williams. Where the runner's on 1st and 2nd, the first pitch. A bouncer up the first base line. This is not going to be an easy play for Freddie Freeman. And Williams is safe. Here comes Odubel to throw to the plate. He is out at home plate. And the Phils will have to settle for a 3-run lead going into the bottom of the 9th inning. Freddie Freeman threw a laser to home plate. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th, 5-2. Go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Freddie Freeman just threw out Odubel Herrera trying to score from second on an infield hit. Well, the speed of Williams is what pressured this one. Freeman on the ground from his knees. Throws a strike right into the baseline.
Dart to Suzuki, and Odubel had no choice but to try to slide around.
All right, this is where the problem was right there. He slowed up. I mean, he was already 6 steps around the bag.
Watch the pitcher. Fried has to jump over top of Freeman, and Freeman. I mean, that's
a really good throw.
It's a great throw. Odubel tried to pull the hand back, and I think he did. But then once he started running away from Suzuki, I guess the umpire figured, you know what, we're not going to have this all night.
That's all Odubel, right?
Yes.
There's no Sammy on that. That's all Odubel. If he hadn't hesitated, he would have been able to score.
Yeah, but I mean, how many first basemen could make that throw
from their knees?
Yeah.
All right, well, here's Hector Neris trying to pick up his 12th save. Kurt Suzuki is the leadoff hitter. And then Flowers up next. And the first pitch low, 1-0.
What was that? 85?
Had to be split. It didn't really tumble.
No, it didn't.
Down and away, 2-1.
With Flowers in the on deck circle, their last
that's it.
Bench player.
That split's not tumbling tonight.
It's not. That's could get kind of scary. Do it again. Keep throwing it until they hit it.
That got a piece of Cameron Rupp. No plate umpire heard him say, James Hoy, you all right?
Oh, that hit him right in the forearm.
So you want to be a major league catcher. Swing and a miss. He got him with the split. One away here in the 9th inning. Well, that one was tumbling nicely. And now Flowers will be up with 1 out.
Yeah, he threw a couple splits in that at bat to Suzuki that did absolutely nothing. But man, 3-2, you're down 3. That's the last thing I'm sure Kurt Suzuki thought he was getting. I got to talk to Tyler Flowers about that mask he had with the springs.
With the see if he does it for softball.
Yeah. You can always ask, right?
Can always ask. Bouncer over to second base. To his left is Hernandez. 2 outs. Oh, after the game, Ben Davis, Marshall Harris are standing by for Cure Auto Insurance presents Phillies postgame live. We'll talk about Zach Eflin's outing tonight.
Absolutely, but we'll also put Murph to work, which is, you know,
one of the keys.
He's not a fan of. No, I'm kidding. Murph loves what he does. At some point, you just think that he's just going to walk up to me and hit me in the face.
I think he's embracing it, John. He's not even listening to you now.
He's honing in on the questions.
Right. Swing and a miss. It's 0-2.
Who do you get? You got to get Odubel, right? Or Eflin?
Odubel, Eflin. Either one would be a good pick. Nick Williams had another good night. Outside, 1-2. I think you finally realized you were talking to him, John.
That's all right. I'm done with him.
Swing and a miss. He got him, and the ball game is over. The Phils have won back-to-back games as they have defeated the Braves by a final score of 5-2. A fantastic effort by Zach Eflin in his return to the big leagues, and also the Phillies offense, which banged out 11 hits to win it by 3 in Game 1 of this 2-game series. Well, Nick Williams had a good day. Odubel Herrera had a good day as well. Phillies also played some good defense behind Zach Eflin. Freddie Galvis made a couple of outstanding plays defensively. Our WB Mason delivery of the game, Odubel Herrera's 5th inning home run.
Two previous breaking balls, Odubel swung and missed, and then he went down. He said, you know what, is he going to throw me 3 of them? Chop House is going to get a visitor, and I don't need a reservation. And he hit that one a mile. And that's our WB Mason delivery of the game, brought to you by Odubel Herrera.
Well, the Phils 10-2 with 7 games to play against the Braves. It's their first season series victory since 2011. That's another step in the right direction for this ball club. So the Phillies win it by 3. They take Game 1 of this 2-game series. They swept out the Braves last week in Philadelphia. So it's nice to get this little winning streak together against the Atlanta Braves and to pick up back-to-back victories on this road trip. Zach Eflin is our Chevrolet player of the game. His return, it's his first appearance since the 28th of May. A little shaky in the first, but then settled down after that.
Yeah, he made some good pitches, though. And the velocity on his fastball, you got to love that. You know, he wasn't afraid to pitch inside to both righties and lefties, and that's a great thing. And this is the best I've seen Eflin look all year. Anytime I've ever seen him, and it was, you know, a pretty dominant performance by Eflin. Breaking ball wasn't that good early, but it started to come around later in the game. He got some outs with it, the changeup. Pretty commanding performance by Zach Eflin.
Phillies also needed it because the starters had been okay on this road trip, but now back-to-back solid outings by the starting pitchers. So as we mentioned for Eflin, it was his first appearance in the big league since the 28th of May. And he certainly showed a command of the strike zone, not only inside and out, but also up and down as well. And I'm sure he was pleased with his performance. The fact that he went as deep as he did, he went 7 innings and possibly could have gone even a little bit more. So he's down on the field with Greg Murphy. Murph?
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, welcome back. And that certainly was a very nice welcome back party for you. You had, it seemed like complete command tonight with your fastball, your pitching inside. Everything seemed to be going right for you.
Yeah, you know, kind of ran into some trouble in the first inning. Fell into a couple tendencies in the last inning. Could have avoided the 7th inning walk, but ultimately it felt great, commanding the fastball. And, you know, I fell back to normal, which is a really good thing, and, you know, just very happy to be back.
When you're down in the minor leagues and you're working on things, knowing what you learned when you were here, what are you thinking to yourself when you get this moment to come back and do it again?
Execute your pitches, you know, take advantage of the situation. I just wanted to go out there and put up as many zeros as I could, and left with a quality start and a win. The boys played great tonight, and just like I said, I'm happy to be here.
You know, it's always nice when you get some good defense behind you as a pitcher as well, and you certainly got that tonight. That's been kind of the norm with this team. That has to settle you down as well as you're out there battling.
Absolutely. It's a lot easier to pitch when you have, you know, 8 great defenders, you know, playing behind you. It was a lot of fun. We turned, you know, some interesting double plays, but, you know, it's all part of it. It was all fun, and, you know, really, really happy to have those guys behind me.
And to boot, you come out and you hit a rocket in your first at-bat, and then you get the base hit and the RBI in your second at-bat. You're just doing a little bit of everything, Zach.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see the ball and hit it. That's it.
Well, you did that tonight, and more importantly, you came out here and did your job and got the win tonight. Congratulations. And like I said, welcome back. Guys, back upstairs.
Murph. All right, Murph, thank you very much. Hector Neris' split picked up as the night went on. He picked up the save. The Phils win it by 3. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this.